Three, two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going to be going on about a film that, uh, why don't we let our good friend who subjected us to this movie. Tell us a little bit more about the movie. I'm Batman. Go right ahead.
Well, let me try to tell you about the movie really quick. And yeah, so I am talking about 2023, The Flash. Um, this movie had some controversy. Some people didn't like it, but as I've always said, the worst fans are Star Wars fans. And next to that are comic book fans. Um, there really are harsh, especially DC. DC is definitely harsher than Marvel. Um, the movie wasn't perfect. There was definitely scenes where things that I was just like, eh. But um, overall, I enjoyed it personally. But we'll get into that in a minute. Um, anyways, the Flash film is American superhero film based on the DC comic character of the same name, the Flash. Uh, I did like the fact that it was comical. Um, some DC characters can be comical and it'd be good. I think the Flash fits as much as I love the TV show and Grant Gustin. He was not really funny very often. Um, there was other cast members that were. With this, the Flash is funny and I liked it. Despite things that Ezra Miller has done, he's good at his job of acting. So you know, I tend to enjoy a movie based on what the actors do and not what in the movie, not what they've done in the real life per se. um, so I saw some cameos of that I was really surprised about. So yeah, but again, we'll get into that later. Let me tell you what IMDb says. Oh, sorry, I was pulling it up. Barry Allen uses his super speed to change the past, but his attempt to save his family creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. Pretty short and accurate. For once, it's accurate. um, so it doesn't say directed, but it starred Ezra Miller and a whole plethora of other people. Um, yeah, I'm sure most people were happy to see Michael Keaton don the mask on again, and it wouldn't have been the first time had they not canceled Batgirl because Batman he was on in that movie as Batman, but they did so we got to finally see him put on his cowl again and give his famous on Batman line and personally it's so much better than Christian Bale's voice saying it. As much as I liked Christian Bale's Batman, his voice was off, especially in the third movie. But yeah. So, anyways, let's go into first impressions of the Flash, and we'll start with Boris. This was the first time watching
I
the movie.
Yes, this was the first time I watched the movie, and okay, I don't know what exactly it is that comic fans hate about the movie, but I
It's
personally,
more. hate about the actor Ezra, because let me tell you, Ezra is a piece of work.
Well, yeah, he's a
Mm,
thief
They they
and all the
blacklisted
things.
him from any Flash movies ever because of what he's done.
and
So
what exactly is it that he's done?
he's groomed a child since the age of 12 and went on the run with this child. He's burglarized houses. He's
I only knew about the burglarized. I
ruptured
did not know about the other.
public.
He's been very, very, very nasty to many women.
Correct. And a lot
Oh,
of it was paid off with hush money.
He
So,
he has a habit of throwing temper tantrums and start throwing things around, grabbing people, pushing people around, being belligerent. And this is at places where people are at like venues or whatever. And he sits there and throws he throws chairs, everything.
there
Wow.
was something about him having a roommate on his farm, which there were three children involved, where they were very much near uh, bullets and guns and uh, uh, growing marijuana nearby.
One of the toddlers one of the toddlers put one of the bullets in its mouth and was walking around with it.
So there are various things that were happening all the way up to the premiere of this that was just definitely not how a person should act, and that's one of the biggest things. And this was while he was filming for various things in 2022.
And all
So
this stuff, a lot of this stuff happened in Hawaii, and even in Hawaii, it's like all the stuff that he did, and it's all written down. And and it's even mentioned. The lawyers mentioned, and it was mentioned about all the different court dates and stuff. Somehow, all the stuff went hush, and all the shit was paid off.
yep.
uh, okay, I understand. I didn't know any of that, so I was watching the movie, thinking only about the movie, not about any real life conflicts among the actors or anything like that.
Well, David and I didn't
Normally,
talk
where
about
there's
it till
smoke,
after
there's
the movie.
fire. There was not just one child that was talked about. There were several. So, and most of them were minors. So,
Well, David brought this up to me like after the movie, so I wasn't thinking about it during the movie either. I just was very surprised afterwards that even the picture of what he really looks like compared to what he looks like in the movie was just like wow. And then David told me all this stuff, and it was like wow.
yep. So,
I only
did
knew about the burglary. So, yeah.
did you know about all of this stuff?
I just said I only knew about the burglary.
Well, that wasn't the only thing.
Obviously, the burglary was the least of it.
Yeah,
I'll
Apparently so.
these the
that
things.
But as far as the movie itself goes, sorry, what?
I'll send you guys an article afterwards so that y'all can read about it a little bit. A bit. It's very
I'm good.
straightforward.
I'm good. I heard enough of the news. I don't need to know more. I don't like this negativity around me.
Ah,
There,
well,
there's
then
there's there's no reason for it. There's no. That's why I've never watched the news. Even when I was a negative person, it was too negative for me. Um, but now that I'm not a negative person, yeah, I definitely don't watch the news. Some things catch me here and there, and I get caught up because like everybody else, I like to know things, especially when they pique my interest. But mostly I try to stay away from news because it's all bad news.
uh,
Always.
well, I can understand that mindset to a certain extent. Not sure if you remember a movie we discussed a while ago called Dark Angel: The Ascent, the full moon movie about this female demon who came to Earth and
Yeah.
started to.
Yes, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, there was one quote of hers that really stuck with me, saying, "To turn away from evil is to be an accomplice of evil." So,
Oh
which
well,
basically,
yeah.
which
I don't turn
basically
away.
means if you,
I don't turn away from evil. I just don't need to surround myself by negativity all the time, and that's what it is. It's negativity.
uh, yeah, but the point is, if you sit back and do nothing against injustice, you are.
I never said I don't do anything. I actually do things, but um, I don't need to hear about it to know that it's happening.
And I
Uh,
imagine you're kind of like me. I don't really want to subject myself voluntarily to negativity and involve myself if I don't have
Exactly.
to. uh,
That's the
uh,
point. My
there
uncle's
are
like,
people out there who are paid to do that other than me. So, um,
I understand what you're saying, but sometimes you don't have a choice. Like when I was at work that one morning, and that guy was in the lot next to me, which my employer owns that too. And this guy was just going crazy in this lot, and my boss wasn't on site, but our driver had called him and told him what was going on, and he told me to call the police, and the driver called and I called to tell him what this guy was doing, because our vehicle, he was on the other side of the fence, okay, but I could see him, but our vehicles are parked in that lot where this guy was acting out, our personal vehicles, and you know the cops did come. I mean, the full entourage came, man. There was a cop, a fire truck, an ambulance, everything. And I found out, somewhat later that, he was having some sort of an incident. And I found out last night that there actually is a psychiatric like facility way down the road, and if the people sign themselves in, they can sign themselves out. And so
mm,
that's probably where he came from. But I didn't have I didn't have any choice but to actually get involved and call the police on this, because you know this is happening on my employer's property. My property is right there.
well, that's an extenuating circumstance. That's when you do have to kind of involve yourself. But
but
um,
anyways, Boris,
yeah,
let's talk about the movie. So,
yeah, we kind of went off topic. So, as far as the movie itself goes, I did enjoy it. One issue I kind of had with it throughout the movie is that it's supposed to be a Flash movie, not a Justice League movie. So I kind of thought they killed the point of it by involving all those other superheroes instead of keeping it focused entirely on the Flash. But that was a small issue. It was bothering me a little bit, but not too much. But one thing I really disliked was the ending. It was, in my opinion, very predictable and kind of a cliche outcome in time travel stories. Uh, so that's my one issue with it. But okay, we will probably get more into that later. So
um,
yeah,
yeah, for the
I'll tell you why your opinion is wrong. No offense.
okay.
well,
Not yet. I'll get to it on mine unless Dave does. Dave,
well, I went into this knowing a little bit about the whole controversy, and
A little
look,
bit, you know everything.
I I know everything now. You know, a lot of it was the controversy with Ezra. A lot of it, there were people who hated it because of the storyline. Um, if,
Let's do something different and actually talk about the movie.
as far as it is talking about the movie when it was talking about what others were thinking about it at the time, but I will get into how I feel about the movie.
Thank you.
I think my biggest problem with the movie as a whole was I didn't like how silly Ezra's character was when he met up with dude, and he was all that that was too. I don't. I realized they had to make him a different character, you know, because they had to set the people apart. But that was like over the top for me. But that being said, I didn't mind the storyline. I like the fact that he kind of went over a little bit of how he got like the way he was, because I mean they expected you to already know the story, obviously, because they didn't really do an origin story when they introduced him into the DC universe. Okay, they really didn't. He just kind of was there, a sideline character, you know, in Justice League, and he just showed up, you know. It wasn't where they showed the lightning experiment or anything like that. You just were expected to know that.
Yeah, they actually made a comic book film for fans instead of for people that aren't fans, and it's about fucking time. Because as much as I do like origin stories, I get sick of seeing the same story over and over again about the same characters. It's like the people that go to see the superhero movies are people that are already into superheroes usually. Okay, maybe a few exceptions, but why are all the films catering to people that aren't going to see it? That's
True,
just
and oftentimes they spend way too much time on an origin story to begin with, and then when it comes to the action parts of the film, they barely have enough time to fill that in. You know, so
what I used to love about Marvel Comics when I read them once in a while is Stan Lee would put a little blurb at the beginning of every comic, like Spider Man saying, "Oh, he was bitten by a radioactive spider, blah blah blah," and this is the story. The Incredible Hulk was, radiation, blah blah blah. He'd tell you a tiny little bit so you know the backstory just in case you never read anything before, and that's it. And they could easily incorporate that into movies as well, um, just just for those people that aren't familiar with the character, and then that's it, and then not waste any time exploring the backstory again
yeah,
and again
all
and
that
again and again. So
uh, that beginning narration paragraph, and then boom, you're into the story. You know.
exactly, and they could easily do that in movies as well. And yeah, that's I mean, I like origin stories, even ones I already know. But that being said,
Yeah, this
they
was a movie
overdo they
that
overdo
already expected you
it.
to know. This was a movie that already expected you to know the origin, to know what already went on, to know the backstory of the Flash, at least a basic. And the only reason why you got anything of it was because he was explaining it to his past self, or that which we thought was his past self, which we later find out. Spoiler alert: is an alternate universe. So
It's still his past self. It doesn't matter if
it's
it's an
still his
alternate
past
universe.
self, just in an alternate universe, alternate
Still,
timeline. There we go.
still his past self, and it's not really a spoiler if you know what the Flash movie was about, which I did, and obviously Boris in it.
Gen Z probably would not know about the comic book history, but we, as comic book fans, knew the origin.
I mean, I never actually read Flashpoint, and I really need to. But I still heard what happened, and then of course the show did their version of Flashpoint too. Um, I was really excited to hear to see the movie version. It I'd like to say it did disappoint to a degree, but it wasn't as bad as people say. But again, a lot of people can't separate the actor from a movie.
It was hard for me to get behind Ezra knowing what I knew. But
I don't have any issue enjoying a movie. Even if I can't stand the actor or actress or whatever.
it's not that I
Just
couldn't.
like music. I mean, Axl Rose is an asshole, but I still love Guns N' Roses music. You know, so I don't know what. Obviously, I'm rare, and most people cannot get past what people do, and I'm not saying people should.
Well, Jeffrey
I'm just
Dahmer would
saying
play the Flash, and you'd still get behind him as an actor.
it's just all I'm saying is no, they have to be good at being an actor. Um, so it doesn't matter on their performance. But what we do here is we critique movies based on movies, not movies based on what they've done and outside of the movie. And that's all I get at. I mean, obviously it's going to get discussed because it's relevant. But
I
in my opinion, when you talk about movies, you should talk about what the actor or actress did in the movie. Like, did they go do a good job? Were they convincing as the character? Did you enjoy, what their work did? And that's my opinion on it. Is that and I always go into movies with that mindset. And, I think that's why I enjoy lots of movies more than a lot of other people do, because I can separate the two, his work his work ethics, and then his personality outside the work. Just like Christian Bale, I've heard a lot of bad things about his temper and everything, and I still love his movies, but you know, I probably would not want to meet him in person, type thing. But they say never meet your hero because they'll let you down. So yeah, unfortunately, well, okay, my hero as a kid and up until last year was always George Lucas. Um, I don't know. I still want to meet him. But now it's Jim Rohn, and that would be absolutely impossible to meet him because he passed away. He passed away even before he became like a mentor to me because I found his YouTube videos. But yeah, that again, we're going off topic, and that was me this time.
at the end of the day, I thought the film was enjoyable. At if I were trying to think out inside the box and just base it on uh, acting alone, I liked Barry Allen, the Barry Allen in the TV show, a lot better. I'll guarantee you that. Uh, it's hard for me to separate the actor from the person because of how piece of work he is in real life. Because of how much I know about his life in general. So it kind of
You cut out, Dave. Dave.
taints my
Oh,
idea when in real life he's a fucking dick. Kind of have to. You kind of can't live two lives. You kind of have to set an example in real life and in reality in order for me to believe in you as a superhero. So that's my opinion. You have to walk the same line in order for me to believe you as an actor and believe that your acting capability is as believable.
Well, especially since kids look up to superheroes and want to be like a superhero and everything. And if you have that as what you are in real life, it's not a very good role model. Being a really good role model for a child.
Go ahead into your viewpoint.
And a lot of if we can read this stuff about them, kids that are old enough to read and but like the superheroes, you don't think that they could have read this stuff about them? That's just not that's just not a good thing. Like David said, you can't sit here and be a total jerk off in real life and then turn around and be a superhero. It just
I agree with you guys on that point. That's definitely very valid points there. And yeah, you're definitely right that um, superheroes. If you're playing a superhero, no, you don't have to be a superhero in real life, but you shouldn't be a dick either.
well, yeah, nobody is expecting you to be perfect in real life if you're playing a superhero, but be decent.
Be like Henry Cavill. You know, I mean, he's he's likable. He's a nice guy. He's I mean, obviously he's not Superman, but he definitely has more qualities of Superman than other actors and actresses have of theirs. Gal Gadot, I don't really know anything much about her outside of acting, but I know she's been in a lot of movies, and I really like her style, and I feel like she's a decent person. Um, so yeah,
I
and
mean, speaking of other people who have had controversy, Henry Cavill, who did play Superman, if I remember correctly, he had
yeah, that's
sexual
why I
allegations
mentioned him.
against him too. Um,
What?
he had sexual allegations against him too.
Yeah, well, everybody can have sexual allegations. That doesn't mean it's true, Dave.
It was true
How do you know it was true?
because the courts went against him, and that's why
Oh,
he
and the
never.
courts are never wrong. Okay,
I
so
never said
no
the courts
innocent people
were wrong.
ever go to jail.
I never said that. You know
Okay,
that.
Well,
okay.
anyways, let's get back to the movie because I only got so much time,
Yeah, and it's a 2 hour movie.
True, true.
and we're not even past our
Yeah, exactly. Tammy, first time
So,
watching.
no, David and I watched it once before, and there was definitely some things I liked it. I think the towards the end thing where he keeps his other self keeps going back and keeps going back and keeps going back. I think that was a little bit too much. Okay, you didn't have to keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that. Okay, you know, one or two times of doing that, and then the other person, that other monster like guy comes out would have been enough. He didn't have to keep going and going and going and going. I just think that was a little much. And I agree with David. The other self was just a little bit too goofy. It's like because if that's how he was, how did he get to how he is? If he was, I mean, I realize that this is supposed to be an alternate timeline and all that stuff, but the personalities are like, night and day, and it's like really, his goofiness is just a little bit on the border of being okay. That's enough, dude. But
If you'd like to get me
I
a
liked
turkey,
the effects. I did like some of the humor,
extra mayonnaise.
and I liked during the storyline. You did actually find out because I even asked David before it got to it. How did he become the Flash? So I did like that you actually found out how that happened. So For the most part, I liked it. It was just, like I said, some areas seemed a little redundant, like with that towards the end thing, and a little bit, over the top of what they really needed to do. So I don't think that they had to keep going back and going back and going back, and changing because every time they did it, the outcome was still like the same, and it just, you didn't have to do it that many damn times. It's like we got the point that this was supposed to happen. Got it. You didn't have to tell me it 10 times. But other
Okay.
than that, yeah, I I mean, if I didn't like the movie at all, I wouldn't have watched it a second time. So
All right. So on to are you done, Tammy?
I'm done.
Okay. Um yeah, this is my first time watching the movie. Obviously the movie is pretty new, so I was actually surprised that you guys had seen it already. Um but yeah, I like the storyline is Flashpoint. And it's supposed to have other heroes in it, and so that's why you're wrong, Philip. And again, it's your opinion, but um, and I jokingly say people are wrong with opinions, but this time I feel like it's true because it that's what the story is. The Flashpoint is about how he changed the lives of everybody, not just himself. So it would be you can't tell a story without having other heroes in it. And as a matter of fact, they have a lot less heroes than they did in the comics. Um, and the TV version had even more. So they already dumbed it down a lot for the
uh,
movie. Um, and
yeah,
they obviously told a different version, which is why they don't stick to the comics. They don't need to stick to the comics. We already read the story with the comics. We're seeing a alternate timeline version of the story.
uh,
And
Y- y- Yeah, but I mean, let's say Superman had his own story as a standalone character before he was mixed up with the others for Justice
but
League, and so did Batman and this and that. Then I
Well, the
thought,
Flash was part of the Justice League.
wait, but this movie was not a origin story. This movie was not a Flash only movie. This movie was Flashpoint, which is a specific storyline that they were following. So if you knew that in advance, then you would know that what the movie would entail per se, even if you hadn't read Flashpoint. But obviously you
Yeah,
didn't
'cause,
know.
they did the Flashpoint in the TV series as well, and that generated like over like a matter of like 8 or 9 episodes, crossing over with other series. So it was a much larger story point, at least in the TV series. They had to
Yeah,
mm,
I mean,
it happened
Crisis
within the
on Infinite
2 hour
Earth.
movie.
Yeah,
So.
Crisis on Infinite Earth was probably the best crossover in definitely in history, and probably will be for a long time. And that's why the next crossover per se they had was a huge letdown because not only, well, I mean, it's hard to top the best, but it's like they didn't even try. And I understand that was COVID, so they were limited on what they could do, but they definitely it it was a huge letdown for the supposedly crossovers because he was just it was just him in other shows, and it wasn't a big crossover like they had been doing since the first crossover with Supergirl. Um, so yeah, uh, um, but yeah, that going into the movie knowing that it's about Flashpoint, you gotta have a different mindset. If you're going in thinking it was gonna be an origin story, only the Flash, I guess I could understand why you might not like having other heroes in there. I guess. I mean, my personal opinion is the more the better, and I really like seeing other heroes. So even if I didn't know it was going to be a Flashpoint, or I thought it was just going to be a Flash, I would have been excited to see other heroes. So to hear that
To be
surprises
fair,
me.
The Flash has never gotten a standalone movie ever in the history of comic book history. So, I can see how people would have wanted an origin story, but
I agree.
also
I agree.
I could see from that standpoint, because he's never had a movie before, I could see them doing an origin story in there, but they didn't. They followed the fans on this one.
But they actually had two different TV shows that explain it. And again, it's not movies. I understand that, but it's already been done twice before. So
Yep.
it's kind of like I mean, if you only watch movies, I guess you wouldn't know. But most comic fans, which the movie is catering to, has at least seen at least one of the TV shows. If you're a fan of the character, which I am, especially Barry Allen. There's many different versions of Flash, and Barry Allen is my favorite. Um, and I really love how the TV show did it. But like I said, I liked the comedy of the Flash in this one. I really did, and I think it fit. And I don't think they weren't like in the Justice League. They just kind of they went overboard with everybody trying to be funny with and they just kind of ruined the tone of the movie. Um, you know, well, the theoretical version of Justice League, not the real version. Um, anyways, so yeah, I love comedy, and I love when they can throw it in there without making it stupid, you know. Um, so yeah, that being said, yeah, I liked, like I said, I liked the movie. I liked his acting ability. I never liked his character, and now I like, now I think he's a piece of shit even more. Before I was just like, okay, he's a burglar, that's bad, but now I know more. I'm like, wow. So I'm definitely not a fan of him. Now his acting is really good, so it's a shame that he has this talent and he's good at that, and he's such a piece of shit. But um, okay, nobody else has said anything about the CGI. I mean, I love CGI, and obviously it's a Flash. You got to have CGI and everything. They overdid it, and the babies. Like, I don't understand why nobody mentioned this yet, but the
Some of
babies,
them will look like Cabbage Patch
they
Kids,
they they, they worse. I mean, they were just like it's like they didn't even
straight
try.
up plastic babies.
They did not even try to make them look like real babies. Like, and I there was other things throughout the whole movie, but my mind just kept going back to that original scene of the movie of the babies, thinking like, "Wow!" Even
And when he stuck
the
the
dog
one in the
looked real.
microwave, I was thinking, oh God, that baby is going to be cooked by the time he gets it out.
I was thinking the same thing. I was especially when it went through the fire. But
I kept
yeah,
going. I kept thinking about the first South Park episode where they took his heart out and put it in the microwave, and it exploded, and they replaced his heart with a baked potato in the very first episode. So to me, I was like,
Spudam.
that's gonna be a cooked baby. That's gonna be a cooked fetus.
yeah, I never saw that, so I certainly didn't think of it. But yeah, you definitely hear stories about babies in microwaves before, or really bad jokes or whatever. But that baby actually, when he opened the door, it was a real baby, or seemed like a real baby at least. But yeah, other than that, the falling. I mean, obviously they're not going to have a bunch of falling babies, but I know they could have done a better job of making them look like real babies. I don't know why they decided to go with that. I mean, even the dog looks real compared to the or more realistic compared to the babies. The babies were really horribly done.
Well, yeah, they
So
only
not
showed a couple babies that looked real. The rest of them was like you guys were saying, like, what is that?
I think only one, like they looked real before they fell out the window, and then when
Yeah,
they fell out the window, they looked complete. Like I think maybe only one really kind of looked a little bit more like a
Baby
baby.
crash
Like the
test
rest were
dummy.
just yeah. I mean, even before they used CGI, they could have done a better job of it. So I love CGI, but yeah, they definitely they went the route of Green Lantern, which I don't understand since everybody has said how much that movie sucked because of it, and obviously you gotta have with the
Based
superheroes,
on that
especially with
scene alone, I
DC
can see why
superheroes.
people were starting to be turned off by it.
Especially with superhero movies and DC superheroes, especially, you need to have CGI, and I get that. I love CGI, but there's a point of overdoing it or not doing it well. That it's just like, why did you bother even spending all that money doing it if you're just gonna do it shitty, you know? So that was my complaint. There's a few other scenes. That one stands out to me as it just stands out. It's just and not in a good way. And
It
I
stands
tend
out
to
like a
just
sore thumb. That's for sure.
I tend to like to enjoy movies and
well, when they slow it down like that, that made it look even worse. You know?
yeah,
Yeah,
and the slow down thing I like normally, but again, because they did such a shitty job with the babies, if if the babies looked real, that scene would have been awesome. Instead, it was awkward and just like, okay, can you get done with the scene because I don't want to see it anymore, kind of thing. And that should not be your thought, especially when they spend. I mean, CGI is a lot cheaper than it used to be, but it's still expensive. And I can't imagine how much money they must have spent on this movie, and they could have cut down a lot on the spending if they had done it right. I mean, they could have done it right and cheaper. So yeah, they and the thing about it that pisses me off is they canceled Batgirl and they canceled all the fucking shows and they canceled all this shit because we're in debt with all this money and we need WB is hurting for money and that's why they got sold and everything and so they had this moron take over from Discovery Channel and everything and then they go and blow all this money on the Flash movie and make it not even they just fuck it up like it just makes no fucking sense at all um, to me. Most people may not know the backstory, about WB and what they've been doing, but yeah, WB as a whole has been in trouble with all kinds of debt and everything. They canceled the Batgirl movie just for a tax break after completing it. Um, Millions of dollar movie that just down the fucking drain because they got a tax break and ruined the career of the lead actress and hopefully she'll be in other stuff. And I didn't see the movie. Obviously, nobody saw the movie, but um, from seeing, she looked like she was good, and she was definitely disappointed. I can imagine how she must have felt having her movie canceled after finishing it. Michael Keaton, I'm sure he was a little bit more disappointed. I mean, he might have been. Obviously, Michael Keaton didn't need to have the movie succeed because he's Michael Keaton, you know. And he was just basically kind of like nonchalant about it. But again, he has his reputation to uphold and can't be like, you know, if it was, you can understand his point of view that it wasn't as he was sad that it got canceled, but it wasn't as big deal to him as it was to her, and obviously it was like her first major role as a lead, and then and Michael Keaton's been in a million things, and he knocks it out of the park on every time. So
I'll tell you one thing. If I had someone who was making me a sandwich and talking their head off like that, I would not go back to that restaurant ever.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no
yeah.
reason.
That dude was, and not only that, he had this fucking attitude, like, oh, sandwiches can't be rushed and blah blah blah, and that was another place where I think they threw in a stereotype that did not be needed. That was another case of woke shit, and I try and never even notice woke stuff. I really don't. But this was so blatant in your fucking face that it was like exhausting. Um, it was. I mean, this Flash was funny, but at that moment he was just really annoyed. And I don't blame him. He should have been really annoyed. I would have been annoyed. I would have said something. I would have been like, "Can you just please make a sandwich? I'm late for work, as I already said." You know, and I would have said more than he did.
Here,
I would have been.
I'll make the sandwich myself, or at least go above you and get you
It's a
manager.
yeah. It's a fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwich with I don't know what other stuff you wanted on it, or whatever. But I don't. Okay, it's nice that you enjoy your job and that you think of yourself as an artist, like they say at Subway, where we're sandwich artists. That's cool. But you need to rush your fucking artistry right now because I'm in a hurry and I'm the customer. And yeah, I don't believe that customers are always right, but Barry was not wrong.
No, that sandwich thing too. I would have gotten pissed off enough that I would have said "fuck you" in the sandwich and left. I wouldn't have just stayed. I would have just said, if you can't make the damn thing and I'm running late without all this, goodbye.
Yeah, and another thing, I think they did. I think they overdid it with him needing to eat every 2 seconds. Like they do the TV show, both TV shows they've done, and like as far as I know, they've never really overdone the fact that he needs to eat like that. And it just kind of. I
The
think they
fact that
overdid
he
it.
had to stop and make a
Yeah,
burrito
yeah,
before he even
and
gave the kids.
yeah, and he's got a watch, and his watch tells him that he's quick. Like, no, the Flash can store up energy for quite a long time. And eventually, yeah, he might start depleting, but not like that. I mean, they made him. They changed the character to be like I don't know, more realistic than it should be. And
More,
DC characters, let's face
more
it,
like he
DC characters are
relied,
not realistic. They aren't, and they're gods. They're real
more like he relies
superheroes.
on energy like every 2 seconds.
I mean,
You know,
Batman is human, but everyone forgets that. I mean, I even have to remind myself that he's only human because he's so fucking awesome that you forget he's just a human, that he has no real superpower, but he's just so fucking awesome. You know, but
well, yeah,
everyone in DC is over the top, and they just kind of try to ground the Flash, and I don't know why, but they should not. They stop trying to cater to Marvel fans, okay? Because Marvel fans are if you're a Marvel fan and you don't like DC, you're not going to go see a DC movie. If you like both, then you're going to go see it. So stop trying to be like Marvel and beat DC. People love DC for DC. I love DC better more than Marvel, and I always have. But the Marvel movies, on the most part, are better. They just do them better because they don't try to be
which
like
is why I
DC.
think, which is why I think the DC universe was trying to imitate Marvel in
Yes, and
this
they
sense.
shouldn't. And that's why they shouldn't. They should never, because DC and Marvel are not the same, and they never have been. DC was always the better fucking comic, and always better cartoons, and they still are, and arguably better TV shows. But movies, for the most part, they dropped the fucking ball. Originally, like when they did the original Superman movies, or at least the first two, they weren't trying to be like Marvel. They weren't trying to be like anything else. They just told the fucking story, and they blew it away. They were awesome movies. They were so amazing. I don't. They dropped the fucking ball on the third movie, but because I guess they
Well,
decided they wanted to be fun,
that's
try to be
because
funny. I guess.
that's because the studio execs were getting more involved with the whole thing and trying to make it political at the
Yeah,
same
yeah. I
time.
don't. I don't. No, it wasn't political. It was just for stupid. Richard Pryor did not belong in that movie. I love him. He's great, but he was stupid in that movie, and it ruined it. But that's beside the point. I'm getting off topic. Kinda. So let's go into the movie finally. We
Well,
start
we
off
kind of
with
sort of already talked about the cafe moment and the baby incident, so we can go further than that if you want.
as I was going to say before I got interrupted. So we talked about the sandwich scene. This is basically where it started. He was late for work, and his usual girl's not there. Blah blah. And the obvious gay guy said she has a boyfriend and blah blah. And you know, and he was just obnoxious. And anyways, we so while he was waiting for a sandwich, he ends up going to this is how long it took to make the fucking sandwich. He goes to Gotham City, saves an entire hospital full of babies and people and a nurse who wouldn't stop screaming, which was also annoying. I get that she was freaked out, but really, well, like you said, thank you for saving me out of the hole. Like which it's like none of them even acknowledged that they were saved. They were just like going on, like the other one just took off and running, and this one just kept screaming until she went to take the baby. Yeah, it was just kind of over the top, I think. And anyways, so the scene was pretty awesome, except for the babies. I mean, if the babies looked real, the scene would have been way better. I mean, it was an awesome scene. There was a lot of spit outs. I mean,
Oh,
a lot of
yeah, that's
explosions.
true.
And at the same time, you had Batman busy um, chasing down terrorists that could possibly destroy the fucking world with what they stole. And it was cool how they made that kind of like a back. It was cool how they kind of made that like a backdrop to the story, even though it was a more serious thing. And it's not the first time Buffy did that. And I thought it was enjoyable. I liked that. I liked how they did that, and it was
And
really
they
great.
showed that Superman was busy.
And yeah, I was getting to that. And Batman, I love how he's like, well, why don't you call where's Batman? He's busy. Okay, what about Superman? He's the first one I called. He's the next one I called. How many people did you call before? I could kind of understand him thinking that, like, really? And so Wonder Woman wasn't picking up. Superman was busy dealing, and I liked how they showed him briefly. Showed the silhouette of him, and yeah. So and they could have actually had him as well do the scenes, but that's another whole different story that I would like to smack the fucking owner of or the CEO of WB upside the head for, um, because he didn't need to be in the whole fucking movie, but he could have been in those scenes where they showed him, and instead of them being idiots and assholes about it. But anyways, um, yeah, I liked how they explained that Superman wasn't there, and well, they didn't really explain why Wonder Woman didn't pick up, but it was kind of funny that she wouldn't pick up the phone. Because she's like thousands of years old. um, so, and of course, they didn't mention Aquaman, but Atlantis doesn't have phones, so unless Aquaman's not in his kingdom, they probably can't get a hold of Aquaman pretty easily. So, anyways, that was an interesting thing that he did, and so the Flash goes to Gotham. He's saves the day, and then goes back, and his sandwich is finally made. I mean, I understand that it's a simultaneous thing, and he could have done all that in a blink of an eye, anyways. But the way they did it was kind of funny in the way that this asshole took this fucking long to make a sandwich. Um, it was kind of funny, the guy was a complete jackass. I mean, just I want to smack him upside the head, like, just do your fucking job. I don't need your life story or the girl's life story or your sister's life story. And I like talking to people, and I like when people tell me things. But he could have easily told the story while he was making the fucking sandwich. I mean, he was told, "I'm in a hurry. Can you please make this?" I mean, Barry wasn't an asshole about it. He politely said that he was in a hurry and he was already late for work. You know, which it's always a funny trope that the Flash is always late for work, and just like Spider-Man, like they both can easily get to work on time, especially the Flash, but they're always busy saving the fucking world or the city or people, so they're always late. So it's kind of a trope that both Marvel and DC have that works well, and yeah, so I like that one. It's funny how he's always late, and yeah. So now there's a scene. He goes to work, and they're all his friends. I don't know if they are really his friends or they're just assholes to hang around with him. I don't know. It was kind of unclear because they definitely were really mean to him. And granted, friends can be mean to each other, but I don't know. They didn't really seem like friends at all. But anyways, um, so they had that scene, and his boss is chewing him out a little bit, like, did your dog eat your keys, and your keys eat your blah blah blah. And it's kind of being ridiculous, but never let him explain. And then he told him, you should not be getting coffee all the time, and then he tells him to get him a coffee, and then. Yeah. Why a scientist is getting somebody coffee, I don't understand. He obviously wasn't just an intern. That's an intern's job. So that was kind of stupid. Um, Kind of funny, but if you logically think about it, it was stupid. So
Well, in a
anyway,
sense, he was like the Jameson of the the story.
I have no problem with the boss. The boss is fine, but having him get coffee was stupid. He's a scientist, and obviously he was a scientist. He was doing science stuff. That was his job. That's what he was doing. He should not have been getting coffee. That's an intern's job. That's what interns do. They get coffee, and they go for whatever you need them to do. That's their job. That's what they do. It's this guy is paid to do a certain job. He shouldn't be getting fucking some asshole's coffee. He can get his own damn coffee. you know. So that's just my opinion on it. Anybody else want to chime in?
Well, I guess you have a point. Okay, I didn't know all that about interns, so yeah.
I mean, even if you don't know, you can still agree that he shouldn't have been getting the guy's coffee, right?
Yeah.
right, but it is what it is, and I guess
Well, we're
this is
critiquing the movie, and as much as I enjoyed the movie overall, there was a lot of minor things that was annoying or stupid, and too much so that it was the movie overall doesn't get a highest score as it should have gotten. Had they just tweaked it a little bit, like if they just tweaked it a little bit, this movie would have been awesome. I mean, people still might not have liked it because of Ezra Miller and stuff, but at least the movie would have been better.
I
So what about you, Tammy?
I'm
I was confused
surprised.
about what the guy's supposed to be. What is he supposed to be interning for? I mean, you briefly saw something. He said something about closing cases, and then these cases shouldn't be closed yet. And then next time you see him with these other two, and they're and it's taking they're saying we're behind this far on these cases. Say what cases? What are they doing?
Okay, this is another thing where you have to know the story of the Flash. Just like in the show. He works for the he works for the police department. Obviously, this is the police
Yeah,
department, but he's CSI. He's a scientist. He's not an intern. He's actually
yeah.
paid.
In the
Uh,
show, he's not an intern, but
yeah,
in
he's
this movie,
in the
he
movie.
is.
He's not an intern. That's why I say he shouldn't be getting fucking coffee because he's not an intern. He even said he was hired. He got the job in the Justice League when he told his dad I got a job, and he showed him the application that he was applying for the police department as in the CSI department. So he got a job. He was hired,
If
and
you're
so it's
not
not.
doing good at your job, and there's other people who are doing their job better, then of course he's gonna be gopher.
Well, he is
It's
doing his job, and his
just the
job
way.
was he's a phenomenal scientist and amazing. He's an amazing scientist. And look what
To
he's really
us,
figured out.
and in the comics, he is, but to the employer, he is not.
Well, I don't understand that because he made his fucking suits, and his fucking suits took a lot of science to make. Even his, okay, maybe not the first one, the alternate version made, but still, the suits took a lot of science. So yeah, even the movie version was a scientist. So for him, the issue wasn't him doing his job wrong. The issue was that he wasn't. He was too caught up on trying to actually solve the case to actually do it because he actually cared about the case because they're real people and this asshole boss didn't give a fuck about people. He just wants the work done. And this is why jobs suck, because you have assholes like that.
Well, from a job standpoint, he was always late, and to me as a boss, seeing that someone is late doesn't mean to me that the person wants their job enough because they're always consistently late, and there is no excuse in the world that is gonna make me think that this person is highly qualified for a job if they can't even be there on time.
You're 100% right, and this is why you should be your own boss, people, and say fuck to jobs. But so since we were talking about it, I had to plug it because I 100% agree with you. Jobs suck. You should never be dependent on what another person thinks or says, and you should be able to do what you want and not have to be fucking a slave to someone else. And yes, it is slavery. You may not have change, you may not get whips, but it's still slavery, and it should be abolished. I'm done with my little rant. Since you brought it up. Anyway, so Tammy, did you have anything you want to say about that incident?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy. All right, so we're gonna move on, and what was the next scene? I think he's talking to Batman about being lonely, and Batman basically saying he was lonely too, and then he asked him to go get some food, and for some reason he decided that no, not tonight, even though he just said he was always alone, and that kind of didn't make sense. He could have gone and had a bite to eat with him, but anyways, so he doesn't, and then he ends up going back, running so fast ends up going back to the past when he's on the phone with his dad, and he goes back
to his emotions a little bit too.
I'm sorry, what?
I said leaning into his emotions a little bit too.
He's definitely very emotional. I mean, his mom died, and he never got over it, and I understand that, and especially the way she died, and the fact that he lost both his parents because his dad was accused of killing his mom, and no matter how much his dad and he kept pleading that the dad is innocent, the justice system, like we were just saying a little while ago, does put real people.
We also never found out who did kill the mother.
Well, again, this is made for comic book fans, so if you're a comic book fan, you already know it was Zoom.
Zoom, or as we know, the much. I think we found out that it was actually
the Reverse Flash.
The Reverse Flash.
Yeah, I meant reverse. I said
sorry.
I meant Reverse Flash.
Well, didn't you bring up the Batman about? Well, I wish I could go back, and then didn't Batman warn him too? When they
Batman, because Batman's the greatest attack. I mean, Batman's logical, very logical, and it made sense. Like he just like they said the butterfly effect, which is an awesome movie, by the way. The butterfly effect, that if you, like you said, if you step on a grass blade the wrong way, you're gonna change shit. Just like how after he went through the whole entire movie, realizing he can't change shit, decided to move the camera, changing the outcome of his father, therefore changing fucking the whole history again. It's like he learned his lesson, but he didn't learn his lesson, you know? Like he thought, well, there's one little thing I can do. And then he was so happy his dad got off and everything's back to normal. And then they brought in the worst fucking Batman in the history of the world. Why they couldn't have gotten Val Kilmer, I don't know. But you know, why they had to get George Clooney and make us all remember the fucking bat nipples, I don't know. But that was stupid. That was like, but again, that's the end of the movie. But since it just got brought up, I had to mention it. That they had to bring back the worst Batman ever. So, anyways, he gets warned. He shouldn't go back in time. And then he's like, because he can't interact with himself, blah blah. And then he ends up having a discussion with Iris for like 2 seconds, and then somehow he goes off on a tangent while she's listening to him, and surprisingly still wants to date him afterwards because he was actually definitely acting like a crazy person, talking to himself, and then thanking her, which I'm not sure what she did because he came up with the idea himself. And then he just literally leaves her in his apartment, leaves, opens the door, again says, "Oh, thank you. This was a great conversation." And then shuts the door again. Doesn't say anything about her being left in his apartment while he runs off. Half cocked. Not thinking about consequences or anything. He's obviously
or romance even because it's
yeah.
obvious
That's another thing. He had a crush on Iris because this version that he didn't grow up with Iris. He met her in college, and then he saved her life in the Justice League, which we didn't even know, but they had a history before that. So we found out he had a crush on her, but I know he's awkward, but he did not act like a person that had a crush on a girl at all. And, especially with how awkward he is, he was just being weird, not awkward. So that I think wasn't an actor issue. That was directions. Like the actor just does what the directors tell you to do, and the directors were directing him to do that. And they were he should have had at least some fucking showing that he cares about this girl. Besides him tidying up the apartment and then everything falling out, which was funny. But other than that, he did not act like he gave two shits he was there. And the way he felt about Iris West, like especially the 18-year-old version of himself, like, that was just kind of stupid. Now, I guess we'll go back. He ends up. So we see this creature, which I believe was Saboteur, was supposed to be. I think that's his name, the goddess feed. Yeah. Which, if anyone knows, is actually Barry Allen. So they did that right. So that was real. You end up finding out that was an alternate version of him, became the villain, and he knocked himself out into the past. It's like he seemed to have forgotten that he got knocked. Because he's like, I don't know why I'm in the past. Well, he got knocked out into the past. We don't know why yet, but he just gets knocked out. And we find out later. But yeah, he was fucking annoying as an 18-year-old. And again, lots of people change. I was probably annoying as an 18-year-old, and people do change. But yeah, he was definitely they overdid the character. They definitely overdid it. He was not really likable at all, and you just want to and to be fair, they did mention it. He's like, now I understand what people are talking about when they say he talks too much, because if just like me, I talk too much, and when other people talk too much, I get annoyed, and then I realize, oh yeah, this is what other people must think when they talk to me because I talk too much. So, they did that, which was cool. But yeah, I agree with everybody. The younger version of himself was definitely a pain in the ass. Again, he was a young version of himself, so people do change a lot, and sometimes a lot. I've changed a ton in the last year alone. Not mind the other I'm almost 51. So, yeah, uh, people change and sometimes drastically. So obviously I still talk a lot, so that didn't change. um, but anyways, so he has this awkward um, meal with his parents where obviously he's probably they don't say how old he is, but he definitely looks like he's probably I think he's in his early 30s. And of course, his young self says, you look like you're 40, but that's what an 18-year-old would say, because that's how they think. Uh, well, we don't actually know how old he is, but he's definitely not 18. So when the father said you look old, and the mother got mad at him, it made a lot of sense because, yeah, and I liked how they had Ron Livingston playing the dad. That was cool. I like him. Obviously, if you've seen the Office Space, you know who Ron Livingston is and other movies. But yeah, um, they had him play the dad, and that was good. Now I'm not really sure why they went with the mother they did. The actress was good, but yeah, they seem to have did the face swap thing again. Again, it's not a main character, so I didn't care as much. But um, I mean, Ezra, I guess. I mean, I don't know exactly his ethnicity, but his mother definitely seems way more Spanish than he was, and his dad definitely was not at all. It just kind of made it weird with the acting choice, but that seems to be the thing they like to do these days is change everything around. Um, Iris got changed. Iris got changed on the TV show, and they changed everything. They just seem to like to do that these days, which I find it annoying. But anyways, the actress was fine. She wasn't outstanding or anything, but she was good. Um, so that that was okay. What do you guys think about the parents or the people that played them or whatever? Any opinions?
Um, go ahead, Boris.
About the actress who played the mother.
The mother or the father?
Well, they were decent, I guess, although we didn't really see very much of them.
The father was basically a background character, for the most part. I mean, he was in jail. Uh, we saw him on a phone call, and then we saw him like in a court thing at towards the end. So he was kind of like a backdrop character. You knew that he was in trouble. You knew that he was his father, and you knew that uh, Barry was trying to find a way to uh, put his father in the right light. The mother. Well, I liked the moment when he had to choose, and I'm not sure if we've come up to this. I don't think we've covered this one yet, where he actually does go back and fix the moment where he put the tomato jar in her cart, and she gives him a hug not knowing who he is, and he said something about missing his mom, and she gave him a hug just because. That to me made me like his mother's character more.
Yeah,
The fact that she would give another kid a hug no matter who he was. She didn't. It didn't matter that he was her kid or not. You know, she was still willing to offer that love.
it did.
So that's where I stand on the mother and father concepts.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I agree they weren't in it much, but I was just the mother just didn't really seem like she would be his mother. Like, why did they put his obvious the um I don't know, the actress didn't look the part is all I'm trying to say. She was fine as an actress. But yeah. Uh anyways, so he ends up meeting him himself, and then he realizes, oh, it's the day he gets struck by lightning. I guess he got struck by lightning at 18 in the movie version of the Flash, which is weird. But so he ends up they end up breaking into the lab where he works in the alternate universe, and where he gets, it's supposed to be Star Labs is actually where the accident happened. Um, but for some reason it's not Star Labs in this version. And they phase into the building, which his younger self is just kind of like, we just went through the door, which that was realistic. Like I think I'd be like little like, what the fuck just happened, if I went through a door with a, I mean, meeting yourself in the future is enough, but then walking through a door. And then of course when he tells them that they get superpowers, and he goes, "Oh my god, I get superpowers!" Wait a minute, you saw your future self speed through the room twice, and you don't know you had superpowers? Why did they make him so fucking stupid? Like seriously, that annoyed the fuck out of me, even more than him being annoying. Like, really, you're that stupid to not know you already had superpowers when you were speeding around the room? You know. So they definitely made him. I mean, I understand that an 18-year-old version of yourself is going to be way different, but still, I think they overdid it. Which that's the movie has a lot of overdone. They overdid the young version. They overdid the CGI. Um, and I love CGI. I've said that many times, but it's got to be done right. And they definitely went more towards the Green Lantern side, which they should have learned their lesson with Green Lantern, not to do that. Um, but anyways, so he ends up. They get hit by lightning, and the whole chemical thing, which was added in, that was never there before. And he ends up transferred his powers to his younger self. I guess because the lightning hit him first and went through him, it transferred, kind of like in Smallville. If you guys had ever seen that, when Clark lost his powers when he got hit by lightning, and he accidentally transferred it to someone else. And yeah. Um, anyways, that was kind of neat that they did that. And so the movie was mostly him trying to get his powers back, and he ends up finding out that there's no superheroes, but wait, there actually still is a Batman. So he goes to look up Bruce Wayne, and they, we end up going to I don't know. The house did not really look like the Wayne Manor from the movie, from the 1989 movie. And to me, um, some of it, like the statues and stuff that they had. I mean, I remember him showing it to Vicky Vale, and saying where he got some of the stuff, and everything. And but other than that, it didn't look like that. And then he really did not look like himself when he first showed up. Like, I did not realize that was Michael Keaton. Like, they did such a great job of him being completely disheveled looking. It did not look like Michael Keaton at all. As a matter of fact, I was going to look up to see if it was somebody else that was playing him, and all of a sudden it was Michael Keaton later. Like, that's how much it felt like it was not Michael Keaton to me. I don't know about you guys. I guess they did a good job on that. But of course, I thought when he came flying in, I thought he looked young. I thought it was a Robin. I thought they were actually going to introduce a Robin. And then I realized it was an old, disheveled looking Batman, and Michael Keaton version, um, which I thought was cool. So basically, he had retired, which I'm not sure why he retired, considering there are no other superheroes, and obviously Gotham is always Gotham, and it's a piece of junk, so piece of shit. So I'm not sure why he retired. We never find that out. Um, but this one retired, and Superman. We find out later that why there's no Superman. And of course, there's Supergirl, and we find out why she was never a hero because they basically mixed storylines. I forget which storyline it is, but there's a storyline where Superman was captured by the American government and held captive. Um, Again, we're not sure how the U.S. government figured out that kryptonite would keep Superman down in these storylines. But obviously, of course, they don't mention kryptonite at all in this one. But obviously, as people that like superhero movies and comics and stuff, we know that it's kryptonite they had been using, but they don't ever mention it in the movie. Well, kryptonite, which is kind of odd, I think. But um, so we anyways we find out about that, and they end up going to the Antarctic to what was it they were what were they trying to do in the Antarctic? I can't remember. They were trying to get something there. What was it? Do you remember, Dave?
What they were trying to get
Yeah.
in the Arctic. That was they were looking for Superman originally, but they found Supergirl or
Oh, they
whatever.
thought Superman was being held there.
Yeah, they
Okay.
thought Superman was being held there, only to I think we found out through her actually
Oh
talking
yeah,
to
I know that.
God. God had started to show up.
Yeah, I thought because they never made it clear why they showed up there, why they went there, and I don't know if what the hell happened. I know I have my phone and I was on my phone a little bit, so I think I zoned out of
God,
the movie for a few minutes, and like I didn't see him
God,
actually say Supergirl, but I heard her say thank you and why did you save me?
well,
Like
she's not exactly Supergirl, but she was sent. She was sent to protect
she
us.
was Supergirl. She said
Yeah.
she said her name was Kara, which is Supergirl.
Yep.
Well, one of Supergirl's names. She's had a couple of different ones. So yeah, she was Supergirl. Supergirl. She was 100% Supergirl. Which I'd heard that this actress was playing Supergirl, and she was supposed to be Superman's daughter. And so that did not happen. They had her play the real Supergirl. So again, they did the whole ethnic switch, which she was good. I liked her as an actress, but why they need to do that, I don't fucking know. It's annoying. Um, but I did like her as Supergirl, and
They
she
do it
did.
because of diversity. The
Yeah, I know
Hollywood.
why they do it, but they're stupid and idiots, and they shouldn't, because nobody wants it. Nobody. But anyways, I won't go on a rant about that. Um, so we have this while they're fighting, while they're basically, imprisoned, and they're like, "What do we do now?" And Batman's like, "Try not to die." And then, all of a sudden, Supergirl shows up, and I was like, "Why is she in this prison guard like outfit?" And because, like I said, I somehow I had the movie on my laptop in front of my face, and I still somehow missed the scene where she was saved. Um, so I have no excuse, and I have to watch the movie again. Um, but yeah, so shows up, and now she definitely seems kind of weak. Which I mean, I guess because she's been in Krypton, I assume they did the storyline where she was in. They had Kryptonite weakening her. Um, but I wasn't sure why she was so slow, beating the bad guys up. And also, I hate how they like pointing the fact that the Flash is faster than Superman. No, that's only running. Superman is way faster than the Flash flying. Superman has gone back in time as well, and probably could go just as far back in time as Flash does flying. But anyways, they always like to point out the Flash is faster. Um, but yeah, it's not that's only when running. Anyways, back to what I was saying. The Supergirl definitely seemed slow and not as strong because I mean she kind of beats up these humans like slow. Like she could have like the way she was hitting them, they should have been dead. Like they should have splattered all over the screen. Not saying I wanted that, but just saying it looked like she was hitting them hard. And if Supergirl hit them hard, even a weakened Supergirl, I feel like their heads would have exploded. So that definitely kind of felt weird. Um, Plus they kind of mixed in a different storyline and they had Supergirl instead of Superman. So I didn't know they were going to do that. So it was a little it felt weird and it felt slightly out of place, but that's only because I know that story. And had I not known that storyline, I might have a different opinion. But since I do, that's my opinion on that scene. Um, but it was a pretty good scene. And then of course she passes out and they bring her to Wayne Manor, and then of course Barry's like, oh, bring her out to the roof because she's Sun gives her powers, and I'm thinking, weren't they outside and then they brought her inside? Why did she pass out in the first place? She was out in the sun. And even if the sun's not out, that doesn't matter because the sun's out somewhere and Superman still gets his powers from the sun, whether you see it or not. So it doesn't matter if it's night or day. So that was a little weird too, how they did that. That she had to be outside to get the rays, even though she had been outside already when she passed out. So and then her suit was there too, which we don't find out how the fuck did her suit show up. Like she had been in prison. Um, Maybe the suit was in the prison too, but
He grabbed
okay,
this when they took her out of there. The suit was sitting like in a pile. He grabbed that when they took her out.
okay, I must have looked away and missed it.
I
Okay,
saw him
thank
pick.
you.
I saw him pick it up.
Okay, I did not see that. So all of a sudden the suit was just there, and I was like, "What?" She wasn't wearing that. Like, where'd that come from? Okay. So and then her waking up and kind of like, "Who are you?" And so I guess she kind of forgot that he had saved her, and then she had saved them, type thing. Um, but yeah, that whole scene was kind of cool, and um, they now in the comics they made Superman like super thin, and of course they didn't make the actor super thin, like they had in the comics, but they definitely made her look weak, um, very weak. Which again, if they did the storyline and she was being held captive all that time by Kryptonite, because that's the only way they could have kept a Kryptonian captive, is Kryptonite. Um, So, anyways, the whole reason they were looking for Superman, we forgot to mention this, is because they had Zod appear, and just like in the movie Superman movie, Zod had showed up looking for Kal-El, and they all assumed that he was looking for Kal-El this time, and he was looking for Superman, but he was actually, we find out he was actually looking for Supergirl. For some reason, the Codex was in Supergirl in this version, which they never explain why it's in Supergirl and not Kal-El. Why? Because
uh,
originally
is,
thought it was.
isn't it just another side effect of very messing with the space-time
Well,
continuum
yeah,
and messing everything up?
yes, but why would it? What my thought is, why would her uncle put the Codex in his niece and not his son?
Huh,
That is my thought. That is just my thought.
huh.
It just didn't make sense to me. And maybe that's just me. I overthink things sometimes, but that's just what I thought. Like that just doesn't make sense. Like all the other stuff that said is weird. Like Eric Stoltz playing Michael J. Fox's character in Back to the Future, which was funny, but which I didn't even mention that scene. But I'm trying not to say everything about the movie, but that was a funny scene.
Yeah, and it was funny because we had Eric Stoltz in a movie we recently discussed.
That's right, we did. But anyways, Eric Stoltz played Marty McFly, and Michael J. Fox was in Top Gun, and Tom Cruise. I don't know. He didn't say what Tom Cruise was in instead, but yeah, he's like, oh wow, I fucked the whole universe up, and that's when he realized what he had done. Besides the superheroes not being around, that he changed everything. Um, and yeah, that whole scene was definitely kind of funny. It was funny that his friends or not friends from work end up still being in their life. So I think they were friends because even though they were still like they became their roommates. So in this version, they're roommates. So because they tend to think that you're going to be even in an alternate universe, you'll still meet the same people, even if they're different versions of those people. So I like how they did that. That was cool. Um, but anyways, they uh, they have to stop Zod, and so they know the only one who can actually stop Zod is Superman. So they go to find Superman and end up finding Supergirl. Still, nobody knows what happened, where Superman is. Um, and even Supergirl doesn't know what happened. She knows that she came to Earth, their pods got separated, and she arrived at a different time than her cousin, and then she got captured by the U.S. She got captured by the Russian government. In the comics, it was the U.S. government that did it to Superman. Um, and anyways, so Supergirl at first is like, they're like, we gotta save mankind, and she's like, mankind captured me. I came to this planet to help, and they captured me and kept me. And she's like, I'm a Kryptonian, and she flies off. Like I'm like, oh fuck, is she gonna join Zod? And she flies, and she ends up seeing Zod, and sees Zod kill a military guy. And even though she had been tortured and kept prisoner all that time, she was still a good person, and she was still a good. She had been a good girl when I mean, she
Well,
was a
she
little
wondered
older when she got
why
the book.
the Flash had actually saved her.
Yes, she does ask, and he tells her because you were in trouble, and she kind of realizes that Zod is the bad guy, and she may be Kryptonian, but she needs to help the humans, and she realizes that there. And of course, Zod looked up and sees her, and of course, we don't know at this point that he's looking for her, but she flies off, and then comes back. Like she didn't, she did not go half cocked and go fight Zod then, which I was a little surprised about, because I mean, she's been imprisoned all that time, and she was a little girl when she was sent to Earth. At least in the versions that other versions we all know, that she was young. She was like a
Uh,
young teenager when she got sent to Earth. Yeah, most people don't realize that Supergirl is older because she had been stuck in time, basically stuck in time, getting to Earth a lot longer than Superman. So when she landed on Earth, Superman was older than her when she finally landed, and that's why he appears to be older than her. But she's actually like a teenager when he's born, so she's definitely older. Um,
uh,
but
oh yeah. One thing I was wondering is why did she have black hair here? She's usually blonde.
well, because the actress had black hair, and that's what I was saying. They just decided to change the character instead of making the character look like what she's supposed to look like. They decided to change her look. Which again, I mean, I found out it was supposed to be when I thought it was supposed to be the daughter of Superman and Lois. I'm like, okay, I guess a different actress makes sense because, well, it's a different Supergirl. But then when I found out it really was the Supergirl that I originally thought it was, I was like, well, this is kind of stupid. Why would they change the actress? I mean, she did a good job. I'm not going to take that away from her. But again, it's a matter they didn't do it because she's a good actress. They did it because they just wanted to be diversified, and I can't stand that shit. So
So
yeah,
even DC does get woke after all.
yeah. They did woke with the mother. They don't do it as bad as Marvel and Disney and other places, but yeah, everybody fucking does it, and it's just fucking annoying. WB doesn't do it as
Yeah,
much, but then we have the guy that was in charge of the Discovery Channel in charge of WB. What the fuck does he know about entertainment? Discovery isn't entertainment; it's learning. Okay, it's not fucking entertainment. And he's a fucking moron. He's taken away all the good fucking shows that people watched. I immediately fucking canceled my subscription when he took over. Um, and I'm sure I'm not the only fucking one. He shut the Titans TV show down, and the fucking League of and I can't remember the name of the show. The other good show. I love the show. I just can't think of it. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, they do that woke bullshit too, and I'm definitely not one that cries woke often. I don't like that word at all. I don't like to use it, but they definitely were that in this movie and again in like three different areas right now. So yeah, that's why Supergirl has black hair because they just didn't give a shit about um, changing it. Now in the Supergirl movie with Helen Slater, um, her alter ego had brown hair, but she had done that. She had put a wig on just to add a little flair to her not being Supergirl. Like Superman always wore the glasses, well she wore a wig. Um, which was cool. Um, but yeah. So, anyways, what was I gonna say? Uh, they she ends up she's a different Supergirl, and she ends up she doesn't try to take on Zod then, which like I said, I was a little surprised that they didn't have at least some kind of interaction. It was smart that she did, but again, um, I don't know, it just kind of seemed out of a little out of place. Like I would have thought she would at least try to do something then at that moment, but she decides to do the smart thing and goes back to the team and say, "Yeah, I want to join you guys." And that's when we have the whole little scene where he's like, Batman's like, "What do you guys? What did you call your group again?" He said, "The Justice League." Where no, now basically we have. Oh wait a minute, I'm forgetting something. Yeah, that's right. They were trying to get Barry's powers back again by electrocuting him and almost killing him. And then Supergirl comes in and somehow she knows what they're doing, even though she wasn't there. And she grabs Barry and she flies him up and gets him hit by lightning and kills him briefly. I'm pretty sure he did die. And then he comes back. He ended up getting this. The Speed Force ended up bringing him back and healing him up. So it worked. And yeah, I thought they actually killed him. Like I didn't think it was like holy fuck they killed this. Like I thought they had actually killed him. They do that so much in movies these days that you never know when they're gonna kill off somebody. Like you used to know that they never kill off a main character, but now they do in some shows. So I thought they had killed him off. So I'm glad they didn't. Because I like that version of Barry way better. Um, and so now they both have powers. I'm like, okay, so Justice League is a weird Supergirl, two two Flashes, and a very old Batman that is was my favorite Batman forever. Um, Still is. Even though Ben Affleck is well, some days Ben Affleck's a better Batman, depending on the day. But yeah, so definitely yeah, that's another thing. Sorry to go off a tangent, but they could have gotten Christian Bale to do the end scene. Sorry, I just had to mention that again because George Clooney is the worst fucking Batman ever. If I didn't mention it before. Um. Anyways, so he gets his powers back. They decide. The Flash says, "Okay, we're gonna take care of distract the army." While Supergirl takes out Zod. And it's a good plan. And it seems like Batman should come up with that plan, but it looks like Flash did, even though he's super smart. It's still Batman's job to come up with plans. That's why they recruited him in the first place. So they end up showing up at the scene, and they fly in with the bat plane, and they how a night. Oh, the last time they went to jump out. They end up jumping out of the plane where Batman just jumped out using his cape as like a bat, and he looked like a flying bat, which was really cool the way they did that. Um, and they were the Flashes were in parachutes. I just forgot to mention that part, and of course, the older Barry Allen didn't even have superpowers, so that was probably pretty frightening. I know the 18-year-old version of himself was definitely frightened, and yeah, I would have been freaking the fuck out with powers or not. I mean, because Flash don't fly. So, anyways, this time they got a much easier landing and basically got dropped off out of the plane this time. And Batman kept flying in the plane this time. Well, and now this is another thing I thought was kind of stupid because Kryptonians are all powerful. Why did it seem like only Zod, Non, and I'm assuming the Giant was Non from Superman 2, which we didn't have him in the Superman movie. So I assume he was. And why did they are the only three that seem to have superpowers like Superman, whereas the other Kryptonians seem to be just like soldiers? Like all those Kryptonians should have been like Superman. But I mean, I guess they had to dumb them down so the Flash could actually fight them. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of weird because the Flash should not have been able to do anything that maybe annoy them and distract them, but not actually hurt them. Like the
Well,
fact that
he even told the real Flash told the other one, "We're not able to kill him, but we can
right, but they
we
actually they were hurting them. They were actually punching them, and basically the Flash is a human that has super speed. He doesn't have super strength.
correct." But he
So
even had told the other Flash they can't hurt him, they can't kill him.
right, but they did hurt them. They did beat them up. They knocked them down and stuff, and they did beat them up. And then the other Flash ended up getting a weapon that I guess can somehow kill Kryptonians, which I guess it's made out of kryptonite. I guess I don't know. They don't explain that at all.
Well, better
So
one of them, and it's the only thing that'll kill something that they
right,
use.
so it's obviously has kryptonite. Again, it's not explained, but you know, yeah. I just like I said, them being able to beat up the Kryptonians, I thought was stupid. Because they shouldn't have been able to. But
Oh, the Flash.
Maybe because it's an alternate universe, and maybe in this universe, the Flash has super strength, or the Kryptonians are weaker or something. I don't know.
Oh, I guess I
But
missed.
now,
I thought when he told the other Flash that they can't kill him, that they could just hold him back. I thought that they'd be able to at least push him down or things like that.
yeah, I mean, in reality, or okay, not reality, but in the real uh, comic book story, the Flash would not have been able to touch any of those Kryptonians. Like none of those Kryptonians would have been phased by them. They might have been like when like okay when they brought Superman back to life and they were all fighting against Superman and getting their asses kicked. That was realistic. And now all those Kryptonians, once they were there, they all became like Superman. They all got those powers. Now, granted, they may not know how to use the powers yet, but they still would have the basics of understanding of not being moved. So that's all I'm saying is from a fan perspective, it didn't really make sense. But I guess maybe because it was an alternate timeline, I'll go with that. But again, it just didn't make sense to me. Um, so, anyways, so we have the whole battle, and basically, Batman uh, attacks the ship. It has a shield, so he does nothing, and then it hits the ship, and Batman goes down and crashes into another ship and blows it up and dies. So we lose Batman. They kill off Michael Keaton's Batman. And then we have the fight where Supergirl is really kicking Zod's ass, and then right when we thought she had killed him or something, say he stabs her and kills Supergirl, takes her blood or DNA or the codex, whatever the hell she has, and leaves. The Flashes realize what happened. They decide to go back in time for a little tiny bit and stop it. And basically, we have Batman gets saved from attacking the ship because he tells them that it has a shield. So Batman ends up fighting Non, um, almost taking Non out, which again is pretty incredible for a human being. If anyone can do it, it's Batman. Doesn't completely take him out, but knocks him out at least, and then dies again. Before he dies, he has a touching scene saying that when Flash is like, "I tried saving you," he's like, "You already did," because he had forgotten who he was. He had retired, and at least he went out fighting, which is way Batman should go out if he's got to go out. I still part of me was going, it killed it off, best Batman ever. Like that version of Batman is gone forever. Kind of have mixed feelings about that. And then of course, Supergirl gets killed again too. And I'm like, what the fuck? They killed Supergirl too. Um, then they have the whole scene where they're in the area. And then we have the young version keep going back in time. Now, unlike you, Tammy, I think that was in the comics, and I really think that it was good that they kept that in there. I get that we got it, but I still think it was important for um, to realize how obsessed the 18-year-old version of himself became, that he became the villain that he was. It was that version of Barry Allen that had become the enemy, and then you end up finding out that he was the one that knocked, Barry Allen out of the timeline to make him. He's like, I needed you to, make me reborn, which, I really liked that storyline. I really liked how he did that. And then, of course, we finally have, he's like telling him, he's like, you're the only thing to set my way. And he tries to kill him. And then the young version finally does something right. And he jumps in the way. And he saves the older version of himself. Not only killing himself, but killing the villain version of himself, which I thought was really cool. I liked how they did that. That was really well done. The big villain in this movie, the Flash villain, is barely in it, but he is the mastermind behind the whole thing because we see him push Barry Allen out of the timeline. We don't know who he is. I had a guess who he was, and I was right, but at that point, we don't really know who he is. He actually looked a little bit like a mix between the Black Flash and Savitar, so I wasn't really sure which one he was. He looked a lot like the Black Flash, the way they made his suit. Um, but anyways, so we have, like I said, I like that scene, and I love the scenes where they show the other Earths, and we got to see. I'm not sure how the fuck they did this scene because I don't remember Superman and Supergirl standing next to each other like that. Like maybe in Supergirl they might have seen. My memory is a little hazy on that, but I don't remember a scene where Superman and Supergirl, Helen Slayer and Christopher Reeve were standing next to each other. So when they did that in this movie, I was like, "Holy shit! How did they do that?" Like that was just phenomenal because it made it look so
I,
real that now. But obviously, Helen
ye-
Slayer is way older, and Christopher Reeve is dead. So
yeah,
And then
that
they
was
also
really
had
good.
Nicolas Cage in there too as an alternate
I was
universe.
about to mention, and we finally got to see Nicolas Cage in a movie in the suit. Now I had seen the documentary, so I got to see him in the suit, and I remember when I first heard about him, I was like, "What the fuck?" Kind of like when I heard about Michael Keaton being Batman. Um, I didn't think it would work, and then I saw him in the suit, and I was, "Wow, he actually could have made a good Superman." And then when I saw him in this movie, I was like, "Fuck yes!" So that was another. Now I've heard a lot of people complain about those scenes because they think it should have been more. But I think more is less. Less is more. And in this case, as much as I would have liked to have seen them more, I think the fact that we didn't see them more made the movie
Well,
better.
he's not all in there all of 5 minutes, like Tony Todd was in the new Candyman. You know,
I haven't
so
seen it, so I haven't seen it,
uh,
so I have no clue.
but and that's one of the reasons why I couldn't get behind the new Candyman as much. But I
Me
know you
neither.
haven't seen it,
I haven't
I like
seen
but
it,
Candyman.
so yeah, but I love these scenes. I thought these scenes were some of the best scenes in the movie. Really. Um, so what else did we have? We had we didn't really see other versions of Batman like I thought we were going to at this in this scene. We did see the TV show Flash. They did show that version of but he wasn't the TV show Flash. He was Jay Garrett's version of the Flash, like he was in the TV show. So it was the same actor who played Jay Garrett, who was in the original Flash TV series, but he was playing Jay Garrett in this flashback, which made it kind of weird. Confusing. Now I know who it is, and I get a little confused with it, but it's a time travel movie. Time travel movies are generally confusing. This was actually not too confusing for a time travel movie.
yeah, unfortunately, uh, we had more Marvel characters in the '70s showing up in TV shows than we did DC characters. They didn't exactly do the multiverse type thing back in the '70s or '60s, like after the '60s
Well, it's not
TV
the
show.
multiverse. They didn't do the crossovers like Marvel did.
Well, I know with some of the Incredible Hulk movies, they had like an older Daredevil in a standalone
Yeah, he was
movie, and
like the as a
a
lawyer. Yeah.
Super
Hey
Pro
guys, not to
version
interrupt, but
of.
I got a cruise.
Okay,
So I don't
Oh,
know. By the time I get back on, you guys might be done because of where you are right now. So, but I'll still try. But I'll just say, um, my my favorite character is um, I like Batman when he comes back.
Michael
So
Keaton's Batman.
yeah, um, and favorite scene, um, I guess my favorite scene is when you actually see how he became Flash. So I thought that was pretty cool. But like I said, if I can come back, I will. Otherwise, I will catch you guys next time. Have fun.
alrighty.
All right,
okay.
have
Uh,
fun.
Catch you later.
Bye, Tammy. Good luck at work.
Bye.
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 Love you.
So we're just now he ends up going back to his timeline, and of course we think it's completely his timeline. And Iris goes to him and apologizes for being a reporter, basically, uh, um, and basically tells him to ask her out on a date. Why she couldn't just ask him out, I don't know, but they wanted to go back to the whole the guy has to ask, and of course he does. And he still stumbles over it, even though she tells him to. But you know, she obviously likes him a lot. We're not sure why, but at least I'm not sure why, because he definitely has not treated her like um, somebody that has a crush on her, and yeah. Um, anyways, of course, she does know that he saved her, or at least she thinks she knows that, because she does mention it that she saw. Like she doesn't know he saved her, but she knows that she saw him. And he tries to say it wasn't him, which not sure why. Maybe because he doesn't want her to know like think about that and then like realize it was him that saved her or something. I don't know. Not sure why they did that. But anyway, so he gets the date with Iris. So we all know that they get married and blah blah blah. Spoiler alert if you don't know. Not in the movie, but in the storylines. Um, so we finally see that they're going to get together. They're going to have their first date. Um, and then, of course, he's talking to Batman. Batman's telling him everything that's happened. And he's like, I'm pulling up. And the crowd goes to the car because, Bruce Wayne is coming out. And then they decide to have an alternate version of Batman because, obviously, because, oh, I forgot to say we had the courtroom. And the court, he changed the fact, he moved the camera. So the camera saw his dad's face. So his dad would get off. And yes,
Oh, so
and
he moved the camera.
yes, he after the whole movie, he realized that changing the past he shouldn't do, and he had to go back and get his mom and get killed again. He decided to make another tiny change to save his dad, thinking it won't matter, and of course it does. And it ends with us seeing the worst fucking Batman ever, George fucking Clooney. I love George Clooney as an actor, but he was the worst fucking
George
Batman
Clooney,
ever,
yes,
and
I
they
agree.
should not then they should not have brought back this version. They could have asked Val
Missed
Kilmer back. They
opportunity
could have
of bringing Christian Bale.
they could have gotten Christian Bale. They could have gotten fucking anybody. They could have gotten a comic version, cartoon version to play fucking him. I don't care. Why do they have to get fucking
Could,
George
could
Clooney?
have gotten an AI version of Venom West.
I don't care. Cartoon AI, whatever. A horrible CGI would have been better than George Clooney. All I could think about, all I could think about was fucking bat nipples when I saw him.
Okay, I don't really hate him that much, but yeah, he wasn't one of the best Batmans.
No, he was the worst. There was no worst. Like all the other Batmans were good. Okay, Val Kilmer wasn't that good. I love Val Kilmer too, but he wasn't a great Batman. But he was better than George Clooney.
I agree.
George Clooney even admitted that he played the character kind of like a gay person and kind of like the way he shouldn't have played him. He even admitted it that he played him wrong. That he didn't take it seriously. So even the actor knows he did a horrible job.
Mhm.
So why he agreed to come back and open up those wounds, I don't fucking know. Because if I was that actor and I fucked up that bad on a beloved character, I would stay completely clear of fucking playing that character. And I think he should have, because now it just opens up whole wounds. Okay, so what do you guys think about the final scene, final fight scene, and then the whole him coming back and everything? I kind of just went through it fast because I was trying to hurry up and get through the movie for Tammy, but she's gone now. So, what do you guys think?
Uh, well, like I said at the beginning, there was one major issue I had with the ending, which is the fact that he, in order to fix the mess he made with the time continuum, he goes back and undoes the saving of the mother. That was, at first, it was way too predictable, kind of a cliche outcome of a time travel story. That's one issue I have with it. If that's, I don't know if that's what happened in the comics. If
Yeah,
it did,
exactly what happened in the comic and the
if
TV show. Like
if
that's the story.
if it happened in the comics, then this is my view on the comics too.
Yeah, see,
Uh,
they did it in the comics probably before they did it in a lot of other movies. I'm not saying they're the ones that invented it, but they probably did it way before a bunch of other movies you've seen. So for you to think that they were probably copying the Flash, I don't know if the Flash was the first to do it, but they definitely did it a long time ago. So decades
oh,
ago.
okay, that makes sense, but still, let's say from the character's point of view, if if you are in the position of being able to mess with the time continuum, and then someone comes and tells you there are some things you cannot change. You have to accept fate. Blah blah. I would be like, if you say fate is inevitable, then let's find the cause of it being inevitable and eliminate that cause. I
Well, that
wouldn't accept it just like that.
well, the 18-year-old version basically was trying to. He wasn't listening. He just kept trying, which is how he ended up becoming the villain because he never listened. He just kept going back and back and back so long that he ended up growing into a villain somehow, and he just never stopped trying to fix that one point, and ended up becoming a villain. Now, the younger version of that one actually ends up doing the right thing and seeing that okay, some things you just cannot change, and there's
Uh,
certain points that are fixed and that can't be changed, and other things
to
can be changed but shouldn't be changed.
to to me, the right thing would be overthrowing the very laws of reality that make it impossible to change some things.
So you think the whole world should be destroyed so that his mother could live, even though she's in that world that's going to be destroyed?
No, I'm saying he should have whatever laws of reality there are that say that if the mother lives, the whole world has to be destroyed. Whatever it is that makes things have to be that way, whatever causes things to be that way should be eliminated.
But
So that
you can't. That's the whole point. Is you can't eliminate it. It's a fixed point. It just is. It's just like everybody says. It is what it is. Like it literally is what it is. Like even the Flash's powers are limited. Like he's not like our God. He cannot change.
Well, no,
He
he's
cannot
not a
change
god
that
like
point.
Thor.
Well, even Thor can't change it. And Thor is a god, and Thor is a weak god compared to Superman, and Superman is not even a god. So, anyways, let's not put Marvel into this because I love Marvel, but when you put Marvel against DC, DC is gonna win all day. Sorry, not sorry. Um. So, anyways, yeah, God, and I'm talking about real God-like powers, like what they think the Christian God is. All powerful, can do anything. Basically, is what I'm talking about. Like that kind of God that has it. Basically, anything they want to do, they can do. Um, the Flash does not have those powers, and even Superman, they say is like a god, and he is. He doesn't have that power. Nobody has that power to fix a fixed point. The fixed points are just that they're fixed points. They do the same thing in Marvel where they talk about the fixed points. That there's certain points that cannot be changed no matter what. Like you can change how the person dies, but the fact that that person, just like in Final Destination, those movies, basically same fucking thing is all those people still die because that is death's plan. That is what's going to happen. And yeah, they might die slightly different. They might die slightly different time, but they're still going to die. The outcome is still going to be the same. And that's basically what all time travel movies do. And because that's just always, I mean, obviously nobody really knows how time travel works because no one's actually ever time traveled as far as I know. And because the theories think that it's impossible. Again, I'm not really sure if it is or isn't. But besides that, um, they all agree that most people agree this is what would happen if you changed time, and it makes sense. Whether or not that would be true or not, I don't know, but it makes sense, and that's what everybody basically accepts that you can't change the fixed point. So, um, you're entitled to your opinion, and I get why that's your opinion. Um, but to me, the ending made sense. But okay, what are you, Dave?
As far as
The end scene, the end fight scene, and the end scene.
the ending scene. I definitely didn't expect the first time around to see the worst Batman of all time
No,
to
I
show up.
meant. Well, right. What did you think about the fight? You didn't say anything
The
about the
fight
fight.
was actually pretty good. I thought the fight was decent. I did like the fact that um, uh, he was fighting with himself, you know, and the whole thing started all because he went back into the past. You know, if he wouldn't have gone back into the past or tried to change that which he probably could not, uh, this whole timeline wouldn't started. And honestly, by this point in time, when his other self thought, I mean, what he his other self had never seen death before, so in a sense, it's almost like he was doing the same thing that he was trying to do with his mother, with saving Supergirl, you know.
And
So,
Batman.
um, and it just wasn't working out for him, and he kept thinking that he could fix it. Well, he can't. I mean, he didn't get it that every Punnett Square moment, you couldn't. Every probability was not working, you know.
Yeah,
So
he ended up
a
becoming a
moment,
villain,
there is a
and he.
moment where enough is enough, you know.
Yeah, and it became a paradox because we find out that it was the young version that pushed the older version out of the timeline to basically make him to make him be born, have the powers so that he could be the evil version of himself, which is confusing a little, but not as much because I understand the story. But I like how they did it. I like how they kept that to the original story. Um, yeah, I so I liked the final fight. And go ahead and say what you're going to say about George Clooney.
Oh, George Clooney just did not do it for me in Batman and Robin. It was like George Clooney going in there and basically acting like George Clooney instead of
I disagree.
um instead of donning the Batman uniform and making it his own character, he just stepped in as George Clooney. So to me,
No, because
I
George
keep
Clooney is not
remembering
gay.
George Clooney from ER, and that's where I
George
watched
Clooney is not gay. He played a
it.
gay Batman.
Yeah, he kind of did, but
He even admitted he did. So
but also,
I agree with you. He was horrible, but I disagree with you. Why you say he was horrible? I like
well,
George Clooney normally, but not as Batman.
I don't normally,
I
so
know, obviously.
so
I never
I
watched ER
and that's George
either,
Clooney.
so I never watched
So,
ER.
well,
Not
I
my
did
cup of tea.
partially because Michael Crichton, who was behind Jurassic Park, was behind ER. So I definitely was interested in the show, and I've at least got the first 8 seasons of it.
So yeah,
Which
you're one of those people that follow directors, and me, I don't even know who directs
Michael
most of these.
Crichton, he was an author. He
I
wasn't.
know who he is because he did Jurassic Park, and there are some directors you just kind of know because they're so become so big. But yeah, generally speaking, I don't know directors, and I like the fact that you and other people on the other show know the directors and stuff. But I unfortunately don't. I know actors and actresses. I do not know directors. Never have. Um, I mean, obviously, well, besides George Lucas, but it's like, to me, because he did Star Wars and everything, and to be fair, he actually didn't even direct all the Star Wars movies. It's just he's associated with directing. the movies. So that's how I think of him as
Well,
director.
just so you know, Michael Crichton was more a producer, not a director, and he was an author. He was the man behind the story of Jurassic Park, and other people directed the films and the
Okay,
series.
so he was the okay, got it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
I just assumed it was usually have an obsession of knowing directors, so I assumed he was the director.
yeah, he was a
I've heard the name.
big producer behind getting the stuff funded, but he was the brainchild behind the storylines,
So
more or less.
he was the wallet, and he was actually a good wallet, whereas a lot of producers suck. Got it.
More or less. Some producers are known for passion projects and not
Yeah,
really
see,
smart.
some producers are good, but most of them aren't, in my opinion. You know, that's
If
why
they
we
get
like
behind a really good movie, then I
when
understand.
when things start going wrong, it's because business execs step in, and it's always true, no matter what company you're talking about. It's like, don't they fucking learn? Do your job. You're a business. You're not entertainment. Let the entertaining people do entertainment. Stop trying to get involved
And
and
even
messing
so,
things up.
sometimes the distribution companies step in and put it through an editing block and make it a totally different film than than the producers and the directors intended it to be. So it's
Yeah,
like
and then of course
depends
you
on
also
what
have
power they.
you, and then you have people in charge that are producers and in charge of the whole things that was in part were part of other movies and did a great job. But when she got off by herself, does the worst job. And yes, I'm talking about Kathleen fucking Kennedy. And yes, because of Star Wars,
Ah,
right? And anytime you mention about bad producers or execs, I have to bring her up because she's the worst.
yes.
Even
Sometimes.
Boris agrees with me, and he doesn't ever have much opinions on executives and producers and stuff.
I know Kathleen Kennedy fucked up the new Star Wars movie, so yeah.
I mean, that being said, I liked The Force Awakens to a degree, and I liked the the uh,
The Rogue.
Rise of Skywalker, but the Rise of the most problem with Rise of Skywalker is it had to fix the second movie, and it shouldn't have had to fix the second movie. It had to fix the second movie because Ryan fucking Johnson's an asshole that ruined Star Wars, and Kathleen Kennedy let him. And that's why I will never watch a Ryan Johnson movie ever. And if you guys choose it, I won't be here. Just to let you know. And you have every right to choose it, but I will not be here. I refuse to watch a Ryan Johnson movie. I had wanted to see Nice Out until I found out it was him, and I refused to watch it. I don't care how good it is. I will not forgive him for fucking up Star Wars. Unforgivable. And I am a forgiving person, normally. But he fucked up the unfuckable. Like, how can you fuck up Star Wars? It's fucking Star Wars. Well, he did. He fucked up Star Wars. He fucked it up so
Okay.
bad that I don't even want to watch that movie again. And that completely ruins watching all the Star Wars movies. Because how can you watch all the Star Wars movies and not watch that movie? But I don't want to watch it again because every time I watch it, I hate it more. I think I've seen it 5 or 6 times now, and it's like every time it just gets worse. And and I if I don't watch that, then I end up not watching the last one, which again I liked, but because I don't want to skip. Because when I watch a marathon of Star Wars movies, I want to watch them all, but I don't want to watch that one because he fucked up. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up. It's definitely now when like I agree with you when you're watching films to watch them in order and try to watch all of them, Dave. Just when it comes to discussing movies, sometimes we might want to make an exception. Like I was thinking, man, it would be great to discuss the newest which movie was it? Oh, Fast and Furious movie, but you know, that's like Fast and Furious what was it 10? So yeah, I don't think we're gonna do 10 fucking movies. So we can't do that
Well, we've
movie.
at least done the original Fast and the Furious and the first Fast and the Furious.
Wait, you said you do the first Fast and the Furious and the first Fast and the Furious? What?
You were a part
Oh, you
of
talk about
our,
that one that has nothing to do with the franchise. I don't care about that one. I'm talking
well,
about
we
the
did that
franchise.
one, and we did something with the with
I was
the
not here. I was
Marine.
not here for the franchise one.
I thought you were.
No.
I'll have to look. I was
Well, I
pretty
don't
sure that
remember
you
from
were,
those.
but
But anyways, yeah. So we wouldn't be able to do the other 9. So we can't do 10. I haven't seen 10, and that's why. See, I don't watch movies anymore, except for once a week. So that's why try to pick movies where I want to watch on my turn. Um, and sometimes they end up being sequels. But obviously, where we did
see,
1 and 2, and 1, 2, and 3 is one thing, but we can't do 1 to 10, 1 through 10. So
well, no, but we can do. I would say that we could do 2. We could do.
but I want to see 10. That's the point. I've seen the rest. 10 is the one I want to see.
Ah, well,
Like, I wouldn't mind doing the other movies, but I'm not going to pick them because I've already seen them. I'm picking movies I haven't seen and I want to see. I used to not do that, but then I used to watch movies all the time, so I didn't need to do that. Now I don't, so now I'm picking movies that I want to see. I'm thinking maybe I'll pick Black Panther 2, but then I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll get off the superheroes, so I'm not sure. I mean, obviously I've been doing the superheroes, and because I love superheroes, and since there's a bunch I haven't seen, it makes sense. But um, I have I don't remember how I saw it, but I somehow saw. Oh, I know what it was. It was on Christmas Day. I saw the new Spider-Man movie, the animated one. I loved it. I loved it. Um, it was great. I saw that. See, I was out on Christmas Day, and they played a movie. Therefore, I saw the movie, and it wasn't for the podcast. But
Hello.
I wasn't
hello.
working on
Oh,
Christmas Day.
hello.
Hi. I wasn't
Sorry, I
working
didn't
on
see you
Christmas
right at
Day.
first.
I wasn't working on Christmas Day, so it was good to watch the movie. By the way, folks, I choose not to watch movies or do anything like that. I just when I on work days because I just work on myself and I read and I have fun doing that. So that's just me. Not that I don't enjoy movies. It's just I'm taking a break from doing so-called fun things because I did that for 11 and a half years. But anyways, we never did get into our favorite scenes and favorite characters.
Well, we didn't get into production neither. So,
Yeah, well, I do that. I'll do that afterwards because I'm hosting and that's the way I want to do it.
okay.
Philip, favorite
Oh,
scene, favorite character.
phew. Favorite character? Well, probably the Wade Barry, except for how what already said, how easily he eventually accepted the idea of being unable to save his mother instead of trying to think more out of the box and
So you're
finding a
basically saying
solution.
you become the villain by keep trying to change things, and even though we saw that doesn't work, you still feel like he did the wrong thing, even though we see
I
that
don't
it's
know. when I would learn that there are those fixed points, I would ask, hey, why do those fixed points have to exist? Let's find a
You can
way to
ask all you want,
eliminate them.
but you're not going to get an answer, which I know you don't like that, but there is no answer.
Uh, yeah, I guess if I was in that situation, I wouldn't accept it so easily. I basically wouldn't let reality get away with that shit so easily.
Okay, so we got it. You'd become the villain and you'd be the bad guy.
Uh,
Got it.
I don't know, maybe.
Well, you would because you would do exactly what the young version did and became the bad guy. He kept trying to change that time no matter what until he became the villain, and he still kept trying to change it.
Uh, well, as far as I know, it was said that he was just constantly going back in time and trying the same thing over and
Right.
over again.
Well,
I,
he tried something different, but he still tried
uh,
to change that timeline. It doesn't matter how you try to change it, he still tried to change it, and it still failed.
yeah, well, yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't just keep trying to change the timeline. I would try to change the whole principles revolving around it. The whole principle of fixed points even having to exist. I would look for a way
Well,
to eliminate the whole principle from
okay, so
existing.
you would be okay. So you wouldn't be a villain. You'd just be running around the world trying to find an answer that isn't there.
But
Okay,
how do we know that it isn't there if we are not
because
even?
nobody's invented it yet. Because everything we know about time travel is hearsay because time travel doesn't exist. Therefore, fixed points is a thing in somebody's head, and nobody's come up with a solution for fixed points, and nobody has wanted to. So therefore, you would be running around trying to find a solution that doesn't exist. I mean, unless you somehow invented it and made it become a reality.
Mm, I don't know, but yeah, I guess uh, I I am I have too much of a rebellious spirit uh, to accept something like that without putting up a fight.
It's funny how much you love horror movies, but when it comes to non-horror movies, are the complete opposite of how you do horror movies.
Sorry, I didn't understand what you said. It's complete opposite of what movies?
Any horror movie,
Horror movies.
yes. You don't mind when
Uh,
people die, when people are killed. You watch horror movies, you like the horror, but you when it's not a horror, you want everyone that you like to live.
I'm sorry, I don't really see how what the horror genre has to do with any of this.
It doesn't. It has to do with how you think. It's
Uh,
okay. It's just an observation. Not a big deal. Dave, what about you?
As far as favorite scenes and favorite character,
Yeah.
well, I do.
Oh wait, I'm sorry.
I like.
Boris. Boris didn't say his favorite scene.
yeah, I didn't say my favorite scene, but it's uh, it's kind of difficult to choose one. But I think I would probably go with all the spudals we had throughout the movie. Uh, those were very interesting. I I actually even though the scene with the babies wasn't very well done in technical terms, I kind of liked the morbid humor in it because I heard some morbid jokes about babies in microwaves and stuff like that. So
I've been hearing those jokes since the 80s.
uh, I'm sorry, what?
I've been hearing those jokes since the 80s.
Uh, I'm sorry, I really cannot hear you very well. I couldn't understand what you just said.
I've been hearing those jokes since the 80s.
Ah, yeah. So yeah, that was even though maybe not very well done, but still as a concept, somewhat morbidly funny scene. And yeah, like I said, all of the crashes and spudouts we had throughout the story. And oh yeah, when Supergirl found out that Kal-El was dead, and the way she kicked Zod's ass in that moment, that
Oh,
was
yeah, I forgot to mention
yeah, that was also really good. I was like, wow, you could have done that sooner.
that. Well, it was like, yeah, I thought the same thing, but I was thinking she kind of was kicking his ass even better than Superman had in the movie, you know. So, but it's been said a lot that Supergirl is stronger than Superman, even though um, nobody ever sees it that way. But like Supergirl is supposed to be stronger. Not sure why, but I mean she's older, but not really sure why she's stronger. But she's supposed to be stronger. Of
Yeah.
course, in the TV show, they made Superman a lot weaker because it was Supergirl's TV show, and they didn't want their star to be outshined.
But
Mm.
yeah, I think that my favorite character is Batman.
Which
And here
Batman?
I said Batman,
Which Batman?
the Batman, the only Batman
We had
that
Ben Affleck Batman, and we had fucking the other Batman, and then we had George Clooney Batman. So
I
there was
don't
three
count those.
Batmans.
I don't count those. Michael Keaton.
They were there, and Ben Affleck's the best Batman. So fuck off.
No, wrong. You're wrong.
Yes, Michael Keaton
No,
is very close second.
opinions are like assholes.
Exactly. And yours stink. And yours stink.
Mine do not stink.
Yours do stink. Why would you not include Michael Ben Affleck's? Even if you don't think he's the best, he was still an awesome fucking Batman.
I thought he was okay. I thought he was better than Christian Bale.
Christian Bale was an awesome Batman. He's just his voice was off.
No,
Yes,
no.
his voice was off. If his voice wasn't fucked up, he would have been a lot better.
Anyways, so my favorite scene is when she actually Supergirl actually takes the Flash up into the lightning and gets him zapped and the
So
whole
when Supergirl gets Flash killed.
well, I do like when she actually kills the people in Siberia as well. That just takes and just annihilates them.
Oh,
You know.
slowly beats them up.
Yep.
I
And I
do
was
also like
I was
when Supergirl is beating the hell out of dude. She took that thing and she's pounding him into that metal thing. That was pretty cool.
that Siberia scene. I found it too annoying to enjoy it because so like I said before, Supergirl should have been able the way she was hitting them, their heads should have exploded. Um, but so I just kept thinking of that, so I couldn't really enjoy the scene, unfortunately. So it's definitely not a favorite scene for me. But I get why it's your favorite scene for you. I'm glad you liked it. Are you done with your favorite scenes?
I'm pretty much done with my favorite scenes.
Okay, so now mine. Okay, well, even though it was a favorite scene, I didn't mention it until Philip did. Is the scene where Supergirl. This is not my favorite, but I have to mention it because it was up there. It was definitely a great scene when she finds out that Kal-El, baby Kal-El, did not make it. The way Zod said that, just you want to punch him just the way he says it. And of course, she does. She blasts him with her X-ray vision and X-ray vision. I'm sorry, with her laser vision, and it was awesome. She just kind of kicks his ass all over the place. And yes, when she was throwing him into the metal, and like I said, I thought she killed him, and he ends up stabbing her and killing her. That was like wow. Um, and then but my favorite scenes are the alternate universes where you got to see seeing Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater standing next to each other as Superman and Supergirl brought such nostalgia back to me as a kid, and loving those Superman and Supergirl as my favorite like superhero movies of all time. Just did it for me. It's total nostalgia move, and it totally worked on me. Completely worked. Like their trick worked. All right, they're throwing that nostalgia in there. Completely worked on me. Like that is my favorite scenes right there. So seeing Jay Garrett back, and the other scenes were cool. Seeing um what the fuck's the name? As Superman, uh, Nicholas Cage as Superman was fucking awesome. But seeing Christopher Reeve, a young Christopher Reeve as Superman, when I remember him, and Helen Slater as Supergirl, standing next to each other, looking up as their world is about to be destroyed. Which again, I'm like, what the fuck? They just destroyed that world too. Even though they kind of did that on the TV show. They just didn't show it like that because it was Brandon Roth playing that version of Superman. Um, so yeah, I kind of, I kind of, I loved it. I really loved that, and that is even though it's a Flash movie, um, and I love the Flash. If he's not my favorite character, is Superman. Superman and Batman's a close second, and then Flash might be somewhere on the third. As far as DC goes, I really do love Barry Allen Flash. But that being said, Christopher Reeve is hands down the best Superman. Now, I love Henry Cavill, but he's a different type of Superman. So I really can't compare them because they're just completely different types of Superman. Um, as far as now, Tyler Hoechlin plays a Christopher Reeve type Superman, and he's good, but he's not Christopher Reeve. And Brian Roth played the same version because basically Superman Returns was Superman 5. They just didn't call it that, and then they fucked it all up. But Brandon Roth is still a good Superman, but he's not Christopher Reeve. So for me to get to see not only the original Batman, but then the original Superman too was just so fucking exciting. Okay, not the original Batman or Superman, but oh, we did get to see George Reeves. That's right. I knew I was forgetting something. Actually got to see George Reeves' version of Superman as well, which I thought was cool. There was probably some others. Did we see? I don't think they showed any of the old Batman TV series at all, which is weird. Why didn't they do that? They definitely showed a lot more in the TV series when they did the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Um, so I'm not sure why all those planets were destroyed, because really all the planets don't get destroyed until Crisis on Infinite Earths. So they kind of fucked up that so that now they can't do that story, but then they're not doing anything because they ended Zack Snyder's just Vision completely. this was the final one, and now they're doing the other direction, which looks okay, and I'm going to go see it, and I might enjoy it, but I still really want to see Zack Snyder's version of Justice League 2 and 3 and everything else he was going to do. And I hope that Netflix or somebody actually does it, but probably won't happen. But people are still trying to make it happen. But who knows? I didn't think we'd ever see the real version of Justice League, and we got that. So maybe we'll prevail again.
Who knows?
I mean, obviously, it's not going to be WB because we have that douchebag in charge. As long as we have that douchebag in charge, we ain't going to get nothing good.
Any input that you were looking for from me now that I'm back on the thing? Before
Well,
I get busy.
we got to do production, so why don't you do production?
I thought it was pretty good. I just thought, like the whole baby scene, that I didn't think that production was very good at all.
Right?
And they made it
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
They made it worse by slowing it down, And I don't think, like I said before, I don't think he really had to go, back, towards the end of the movie. Had to keep going back and keep going back and keep going back. I don't think they had to do it that many damn times. So
they had to show why he became the villain.
But other than that, I thought it was pretty cool.
As far as production goes, I thought that the baby scene was atrocious. I mean, everything else seemed like it was. It was pretty decent as far as CGI went, but it went okay. I mean, it could have been worse,
Yeah, I guess same here. I didn't even have that much of an issue with the baby scene production-wise, but yeah, now that you pointed it out, I do see it could have been better. Aside from that, I have no real issue with the production. I think during the final battle in this metaphysical world, whatever it's called, where they met the evil Flash, the effects in that scene were very good, in my opinion. So yeah, I guess that's it.
The Speed Force?
Sorry, what?
The Speed Force.
Sorry,
That's
I
where they
still
were
didn't.
at. That's where they were at when they met the villain. They were inside the Speed Force.
I'm sorry, what is actually going on with your sound? I'm really struggling to distinguish your words more than usual.
Dave, is it same thing? Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well,
Don't know.
I can hear you too. I'm just struggling to distinguish what you are saying.
I don't know what to say. I'm on my laptop, but
You,
everybody usually says they hear me better on the laptop, so I don't know. I'm usually on my phone.
Maybe it's on your end. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm usually on.
I can hear him clearly.
I can hear everybody just fine, and I'm on an iPad.
Maybe okay. It's partially. It's probably because I also struggle to distinguish your accent combined with the whatever is going on with the sound, and I still didn't understand that word you said starting with S.
What did you say?
Eh.
Well, let's move on. Let's move forward. Did you yourself do production?
No, I have not. I said the Speed Force. Speed Force.
Speed Force.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That-
what's that?
Have you never watched the TV show?
Sorry, what did you?
Did
What
you
did
never
you?
watch the TV show?
A few episodes here and there. Wasn't really watching it on
You
a
know
regular
anything about
basis.
Flash from comic
Okay,
book?
then this is why he doesn't know.
Okay. The Speed
So,
Force is whenever the Flash runs really fucking fast, and then you see all these other like alternate universes and
oh,
different timelines. That is what's considered the Speed Force. Oh, and it's
so
not
that's
just and it's not just that. It's how the speed in which he is going and the force in which he's using.
And it's
oh,
also where he gets his powers from.
Well, don't feel bad, Philippe. I did not know that either because I didn't watch the show.
thanks.
The
Yeah,
Speed
that
Force
show.
is
Sorry.
like think of it like the Star Wars version of the Force,
Oh,
except
y-
What?
except it's the Flash that taps into this Force.
yeah. I do understand it. I just didn't know the word for it. That
Yeah,
TV show,
they
it was
they call
it.
it they call it the Speed Force, which is what he was saying. So
Yeah. That show was on one of Croatian TV channels, and sometimes I would catch it during lunch and watch a bit, but wasn't watching it on a regular basis. So yeah, if it was mentioned in the parts that I did watch, I must have
there
forgotten
was
over
also a
time.
90s there was also a 90s television show called Flash, which I love how in the television show they used the father from the original television show, or the dude who played the Flash in the original television show as the father of Barry.
And he also played the Jay Garrett version too.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, I loved how they do that as well. And I loved how when they did Crisis on Infinite Earth, we got to see him as the '90s version Flash. When they did that, they did the flashback, and he was running on the treadmill thing, and
Yeah, I caught a few of those, but because they were crossovering with Arrow at the time, and I wasn't watching Arrow, I kind of missed some of those episodes. And I
what the
wasn't as
fuck is wrong with you people?
I was not interested in Arrow at the time.
Like I said, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I started with Arrow, and I was never a huge Green Arrow fan, but watching the show, I became a huge fan. And yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why people don't watch all the shows. Like they were all awesome, in my opinion.
Well,
But I do understand that people why people get annoyed with the crossovers, because if you don't watch the crossovers, you miss the story, and I get that. But I just don't get why you just don't watch them
thing
all.
is, I don't think I should be forced to watch a show that I didn't want to watch to begin with. And
Right, but
that's why
I shouldn't suffer because you decide not to watch the show. I should be able to have my crossovers and enjoy them. And it's not my fault that you were stupid enough not watch the other shows. So there's two sides to a story, dude.
yeah, and yours is your opinion and yours alone. So
No, not mine alone. There's many people that love them. Many people. And the fact is, most fucking TV shows don't do crossovers. So you win. You get what you want most of the time. Every once in a blue moon, people who love crossovers get what they want. So we get what we want every once in a blue moon. You get what you want every fucking day for every movie and TV show in existence. So there. I love, and it wasn't just superhero crossovers because Bones and Sleepy Hollow had a crossover, and that was an awesome episode. And what was the other two shows?
I did watch that episode, and that was in the
Law
Sleepy
and
Hollow.
Order has crossovers a lot.
With what?
Yeah, Law and Order does crossovers a lot.
With the
Hawaii
SVU
Five
and
O
organized
did
crime
a
and stuff.
crossover with a couple too. I think
Ugh.
wasn't it Hawaii
Who?
5 crossed over with didn't
Are
they
you
cross
talking about
over
the new one or the original?
the new one?
Okay, I kind of figured because I didn't think they did that very often in the old days.
Yeah, they
I have
didn't do
not.
the,
I have not seen. I saw. Is it? Yeah, I think I saw. I saw a little bit of the new one. Then I stopped watching. Now I don't watch TV at all. But yeah, I actually had watched every episode of The Flash when it was live, except for the final season. I have not seen the final. I saw the beginning of the final season, but then I kind of stopped watching TV and have not seen the end. But part of me, I do that a lot with some shows because in my mind, if I haven't seen them, they're still on.
Mhm.
Because I have not seen the final episodes of The Flash. The Flash has not been canceled yet. Still on because I haven't seen it.
I thought that they had a final season.
This is the
Uh,
final. Yes, they had the final season. But in my mind,
we kind of went off topic once more.
well, that's
mhm.
okay because it's pretty much over. Except we I didn't do production and we didn't do music. So yeah, it's okay because like I said, everyone got basically everything we usually do in the podcast, anyways. Okay, so my thoughts on production. Well, you guys already heard what I said about the babies. Now, what I didn't say was that scene. Well, I did say that the scene would have been fucking phenomenal had they not fucked up the babies. So the scene, taking away all the babies, the scene was a cool fucking scene. But because they did have the babies in there, and because the babies looked so fucking horrible, I couldn't enjoy that scene, even though that scene should have been fucking awesome. So they fucking ruined an expensive scene with horrible, horrible, horrible CGI babies. Dolls, whatever the fuck they used. It was horrible. Even that stupid. I'm not a dog fan, you guys know. Even that dog looked way better than the babies did. And I noticed at the end when the dog was actually trying to bite the hot dog that Barry had stolen and lost, or was it the burrito? I don't know. The dog tried to bite something. Um, yeah. So, anyways, I mean, yeah. Basically, the production was overdone. The CGI was way overdone. When they didn't overdo it, it was great. It was
Hey, not
amazing.
to interrupt, guys, but this is not good. The
What?
airport has its own fire department and its own everything, and 2 fire trucks just went in there that are not from the airport.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can actually just heard some siren from your end.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
so
They have their own thing at the airport. And these two just came down Howell and went in there. That's not good.
So there's a
so the
fire at
other
the airport.
so the other thing that they had going on with music wise is they had the
Wait, can
girl
I
from
finish? Can I finish production before you get into the music?
sorry, I didn't know you were unfinished.
No, Tammy jumped in to the story with her story. Um, as I was saying, when they weren't overdoing the CGI, they did awesome. Now I understand it was going to be CGI heavy. It's fucking DC, and they like to use CGI, and I love CGI normally, but like in the Green Lantern, there's a time when they can overdo it, and they shouldn't have done it, and they shouldn't have. Now, unlike Tammy, the end scene was very relevant, in my opinion, with him keep running back and forth because it showed how he became the villain. Like it's just like seeing how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. Only they did it a lot quicker. and not three movies. You know, so it's because you see Barry Allen, and even the young 18-year-old version is annoying, but you still gotta wonder how the annoying, excited guy becomes a villain. Like how does that happen? And then it shows how it happened. So I feel like that was very relevant and a good scene. Good for production. But overall, I think I'd give production a C, just because of the overuse of CGI in this instance. Um, yeah, the scenes where they didn't use CGI, the very few, were really good. So, um, yeah, and there was some funny moments in the movie, and I don't feel like the funny moments were forced. The only place where I felt something was forced was the asshole sandwich maker. Um, and maybe it wasn't forced. Maybe that's just the way they wanted to make the character, and maybe I'm just calling it woke because of everyone else shoehorning it in. And I'm sorry if I am, but that's just how I feel. So, okay, I'm done with production. Go ahead and talk about music.
Okay, well, there are some different themes. Like there's the girl from the Wonder Woman theme. There was uh, Great Balls of Fire in there. There was the 1989 Batman theme. Of course, they had Barbie Girl in there. Uh, uh,
That's right.
they had the Raycon tours with Salute Your Solution. They had the original 1978 theme of Superman in there. They had OK Go, which is a Canadian band with a song called This Too Shall Pass. You might find this interesting, Tammy. I guess there's a song that was performed by Jason Momoa in the soundtrack called I'm a Sailor, which I'm not sure where the fuck that was. But Pedro Navaja,
What was it called again?
it's called I'm a Sailor.
Huh.
And If You Leave Me Now, performed by Chicago, which was in there. Bad Fun, which was performed by The Cult. So yeah, it had an interesting soundtrack here. And The Comfy Couch, which was performed by Jason's Basement, which I wonder if that's also Jason Momoa.
No idea.
But it wouldn't be a far cry from from figuring that out, But they also had Happy Birthday, which was uncredited. But that's pretty much the music as far as that goes. But the person who actually did uh, the composing, I know, was a different person, and that was done by one Benjamin Wallfish, which I'm gonna look into to what he's done before. Okay, he did the composing music behind the Blade Runner 2049. The composing. Oh, okay, because he's worked with Andy Muschietti. Andy Muschietti was the one who did the Stephen King It movies, and he also was part of the music department of Shazam, and also a part of the music department in The Invisible Man. So there was definitely some stuff that he was part of. Uh, the Darkest Minds, part of the Dunkirk conducting. He did some additional music in Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. So they have worked with him before. Um, Looks like he does a lot of extra. Okay, he did conducting music behind Tower East, Red Riding Hood. He did some additional arrangements. The Right, he did some additional arrangements. It's like he adds stuff to um, other films, um, composing music. It looks like from time to time. But yeah, other than that, did anyone else have anything else to add as far as music? Anything?
Well, I'd like to say that besides them making the Barbie girl reference, and when they did that, I actually thought, I wonder what band did it in that version of the Flash, like that Earth, because all the other movies changed. So I'm thinking the bands must have changed, so it wasn't Right Said Friday. It had to be someone else, and I don't know why I thought that. But other than that, I honestly did not notice the music, and I'm like, except I did remember actually mentioning it, hearing the Wonder Woman, but I missed all the others, and I love all the others. So the fact that I missed those themes, I don't know how I did, but I did, and all the other music artists. I mean, I'm not one that pays attention to music too much. In movies, I love music, but in movies, I don't often. But stuff that I love, I usually notice, and I didn't. So I'm kind of like, wow. I was shocked when you said all that. Like I didn't realize there was that much music there. And I looked up Jason's Basement while you were rambling on about everything. Um, and it is not Jason Momoa. It is
Okay, I wasn't sure.
two English guys called Felix Buxton and Simon Radcliffe, and I guess they became popular in 1994, the year my daughter was born. Felix was born in '73, the year I was born, and Simon was born in '72. I don't know if Simon Radcliffe is related to Harry Potter or not, or the actor, but
Nah.
I don't know. Radcliffe might be a popular name in England. I don't know. But that's who they are. So nothing to do
Okay,
with Jason Momoa. I was
good to
curious, so
know.
I looked it up.
I was curious a little bit too. It's just to have them both right by each
I
other.
didn't know he was a singer at all. It's funny. Like I didn't think about. I used to not think about it. Like when I
He
think, oh
sang
wow, they're
in a progressive commercial
in
recently.
the '50s and early on, actors would be singers. They would be dancers. Like it would be normal for them to do everything. And then somehow that not became the norm. Like I remember when Patrick Swayze did the song, "She's Like the Wind." I was like, wow, he can really sing too. I thought he did such an awesome job on that song. But it was, and then was it Corey Haim or Corey Feldman that sang? Corey Feldman, that sang as
Yeah,
well
it was
really well.
Corey Feldman.
And so it's more surprising nowadays, even from the '80s on. It's surprising when they can sing really well too, but it's good. So cool that he can sing. And then there's some actors and actresses that can't sing at all, and they have to fake it when they do, like supposedly they're supposed to be singing, like Sarah Michelle Gellar. She cannot sing. She cannot sing at all. So when they did that episode of Buffy, they had to have somebody else singing.
Yeah,
She had to mimic it because she gets it. And Renee O'Connor, Gabrielle, and Xena and Gabrielle. She couldn't. Xena has such a Lucy Lawless is such a gorgeous singer. She is an absolutely amazing singer, and Renee O'Connor can't sing a note to carry in a suitcase. She can't carry a note in a suitcase. So kind of like me. Um, yeah. So yeah, so that's just my thoughts on the music. Is I'm like, I definitely have to watch the movie again, not only for the scenes that I missed, um, and to pick up things that I'm sure I missed because a lot's happening all through the movie at once, and it's very a lot. Those are the type of movies you have to watch a couple times. Um, but now I have to listen to the music because I definitely there's a lot in there that I want to hear. Um, so I actually want to listen to it just for the music alone. Want to watch it again? I mean, and so what about you, Boris? Did you have any opinion on the music, or did you notice it, or what?
Actually, I didn't notice much of it except for the Barbie girl. That one was kind of
Right?
obvious. Other,
I
sorry, what?
I said, right? I was agreeing with you because you said the same thing I did.
Oh, yeah. Other than that, I didn't really notice much, so I was kind of relieved when I heard you hadn't noticed much either.
Me too. Now I'm like, great. I'm not the only one that totally spaced out on the music.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I normally do, but when he was saying the music that I missed, I'm like, wait, I love all those. Like, why didn't I hear it?
Yeah,
Well,
sometimes I fail to notice things, so I'm kind of notorious for that.
You notice music more than I do usually, but yeah.
Oh, well, thanks.
Well, you do.
well,
I lots of times I just space out on it.
sometimes I notice music if it's
You
like more,
always notice music. When don't you notice music?
but
You're
it
the music
depends
maestro.
I
I
I guess
noticed some of it this time.
I was just
I
about to
guess
ask you.
I guess the most infamous moment of me noticing music was in that movie Succubus Hellbent. If you remember that
Yeah, you
one.
got obsessed with that music.
you did.
Yeah, which is partially because of that song.
And Tammy, what were your thoughts on the music?
I thought it was good. I thought it went with it, and I did notice quite a bit of it. So
Cool.
Alrighty.
Okay, I guess we're done.
Oh yeah. So hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, you've enjoyed our discussion on the film. Like, share, and subscribe if you have not. Go out and see the film if you have not. It's not as barbarous as some people would lead you to believe. Uh, and then again, some people will probably pay more attention to, what you know some people do outside of their acting stuff, uh, which could deter you from watching it. But let us know down in the comments what your thoughts were. If we got it wrong, let us know. I mean, at least if you say something against what we said, then then I know at least it's good for discussion material, or good for food for thought. So, but
Yeah.
we are definitely going to be on next week. So, Boris, have you chosen your choice?
Actually, I think I did. I found one movie that I would kind of like to do.
Are you
Okay.
gonna
Uh,
tell us or keep us in suspense?
Are you going to
well,
tell us or keep us in
uh,
suspense? Because if you keep us in suspense, it's going to be
uh,
Thursday. We'll
I
watch
can tell you it's a movie.
it.
Uh, sorry, what if I'm going to keep it in suspense?
Well,
Well, you never. Well, you're talking about it and you still haven't said the name of it. So are you gonna tell us?
Ah, okay, I can say it. It's a movie called Lilith from 2018.
okay.
Like the Bible Lilith, the one that turned Adam against Eve or whatever.
Well, I'll have to see if I can find a copy of it, but we'll plan on doing that.
What year did you
And
say?
2018, he said.
Yeah, I did find the movie, so if anyone needs it, I can send it to you.
okay, guys. So this time I am really leaving you. So I'll catch you next week.
Yep.
Okay, catch you
And
next week.
on that note, everyone, say good night.
Well, I did
Good.
want to mention that you can watch The Flash on Amazon Prime with just a regular Amazon Prime account, nothing else needed. They actually have that on there for free, surprisingly.
Ooh,
Um, That's how I watch
As
it.
long as you have a subscription to it, yes.
That's what I just said. As long as you
Yep.
have Amazon, like normally you would have to have HBO Max, but you don't have to have HBO Max. You can just have regular Amazon Prime, which is only $5.99 if you have welfare or food stamps or something, or you're disabled and non-Medicaid care. So it's not a bad price.
Not a problem. So everyone say good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good day.